Chapter 304. Chu Dongxing knew that Huo Wenkai was not a Hu Pao, so he was very concerned when he heard this. Unfortunately, Huo Wenkai did not have a good relationship with other educated youths. He only heard them mention Chu Xiang's name occasionally, but he knew nothing else. Huo Wenkai was afraid that Chu Xiang would be scared, so he said when they parted at the village entrance, "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on her for you." Chu Xiang smiled and waved at him. "Thank you, see you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." Huo Wenkai whispered the same words, looked at her, and turned to leave. It was a simple word, but it carried an inexplicable expectation that they would meet again tomorrow. Huo Wenkai smiled on Railroad. It was the first time he was in such a good mood since he came to this place. He calculated his work points and found that he still had some left. He went directly to the leader's house and ordered a jar of sheep's milk every day. The next day, before work, Huo Wenkai knocked on the door of the Chu family and said to Chu Dongxing, "Didn't you want to buy malted milk powder for your sister yesterday? It's not easy to get it, and sheep's milk is also very nourishing. Give this to Sister Chu Xiang, as a thank you for taking care of me." An enamel jar with a lid was pushed over. Chu Dongxing subconsciously raised his hand to catch it. Before he could react, Huo Wenkai was gone. He opened the lid and saw that it was full of sheep's milk. He suddenly realized that it was full of sheep's milk and laughed angrily. "Bastard, who took care of you? You just used an excuse to get close to my sister." Chu Xiang came out from behind him. "Brother, who's getting close to me? What's this?" Chu Dongxing quickly closed the lid and cleared his throat. "Nothing, Huo Wenkai, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he sent a jar of sheep's milk. It's not good. I like it. I can get rid of the smell. Let's drink it this morning." Chu Xiang happily took the enamel jar and went into the kitchen. Chu Dongxing wanted to stop her, but he couldn't. He touched the back of his head and thought that it was fine. At most, he could give Huo Wenkai some benefits in the future. Anyway, no one could use these things to bribe his sister. There was no enamel jar, but it was just enough to divide the full goat milk into 3 bowls. Chu Xiang boiled the meat to remove the odor, and added some soup. She also steamed a pot of steamed buns, and mixed some cold dishes. At the dining table, Lu Fong was very happy. While eating, she praised Chu Xiang. "My daughter is so smart. She hasn't cooked many times, but this is so delicious. I haven't eaten such delicious breakfast before." Chu Xiang gave her a steamed bun. "Mom, if you like it, eat more. I find that cooking is very interesting. When I cook, I always have a lot of ideas. It's just that I don't have any ingredients to try. I want to know if I'm right." Chu Dongxing immediately said, "Tell me what materials you want. I'll get them for you later. You can try whatever you want." Chu Xiang immediately gave him another bun. "Mommy and big brother are the best. Then I won't stand on ceremony." "Thank you, brother." "Silly girl, why are you thanking me?" Chu Dongxing rubbed her hair and smiled happily. When Yao Shui saw this scene, she felt as if a big stone was pressing down on her heart. She silently cursed Chu Xiang a few times and sat at the entrance of the Chu family's house with her bag in her arms. Chu Xiang and the other 2 saw her when they came out. Lu Fong frowned. "What are you doing here? Don't block my door. Hurry up and leave." Yao Shui hurriedly said, "Mom, we're family. I might not have done well in the past and made you angry. I promise I'll change." She looked around and saw that there was no one around. "Mom, I know I'm wrong. Please let me come back. I'm already married to big brother Dongsheng. Maybe I'm pregnant now. How can I keep staying at my parents' house? Outsiders will laugh at me." Lu Fong was stunned and subconsciously looked at Chu Xiang's stomach, only to hear Chu Xiang laugh. "Chu Xiang, whether or not there's a baby in my stomach, we'll know in 2 months. If there's really 2 months, we'll meet again." "Mom, big brother, don't tell me you want her to come back? I'm not happy to see her." Chu Xiang actually acted coquettishly when she came out of the book. She felt that it was only natural. Chu Dongxing patted Chu Xiang's head and smiled. "It's your fault for not being able to enter our house. Let's go to work." He went back to the house to get a big lock and locked the door in front of Yao Shui. Without looking at her, he called Chu Xiang and Lu Fong and left. Yao Shui called him twice but did not get a response. She stared at the lock and clenched her fists. It was Chu Xiang again. This person was born to be her nemesis. She always ruined her plans. Yao Shui sat at the entrance of the Chu family's house for 3 days. She would come early in the morning and leave when it was almost dark. Everyone in the 2 brigades knew about it and talked about it. Many people changed their minds and felt that the Chu family was too much. However, Chu Dongxing was determined not to let her into the house. No matter who tried to persuade him, it was useless. He wanted a divorce. Chu Dongxing did not like marriage. He could not live with it and insisted on a divorce. Who could stop him? Even if everyone felt that the woman was at a disadvantage, the betrothal gifts given by the Chu family were enough to shut them up. They had only been married for 3 months. They did not force Yao Shui to work. In such a short time, the Yao family received the betrothal gifts. Many people felt that the Yao family had profited. Chu Dongxing said that a person like Yao Shui was thick-skinned and ruthless. Nothing would happen to her if she were to get a divorce. Everyone thought that Chu Xiang might have fallen into the water because of Yao Shui. Then they looked at Yao Shui sitting at the entrance of the Chu family's house. She seemed to be quite thick-skinned. As they tried to persuade her, everyone was speechless. They felt that they had been convinced by Chu Dongxing's fallacious reasoning. Anyway, the Chu family's attitude was clear. Wouldn't it be better for Yao Shui to get a divorce? Yao Shui realized that more and more people were persuading her to get a divorce. She was so angry that she thought of asking Wang Fun for help. In her previous life, she had not done needlework for 20 years. Her hands were very rusty and she did not have the patience to sew stitch by stitch. She made some loose cloth and asked Wang Fun to help make clothes for Chu Dongxing. Then, she asked Wang Fun to help her deliver the clothes and a love letter. Wang Fun agreed to help with the clothes because she received a box of vanishing cream from Yao Shui. However, when she was secretly sewing the clothes, she kept thinking of the words that Yao Shui used to boast about how manly Chu Dongxing was, how much he doted on his wife, and how much he cared about his family. The more she thought about it, the more flustered she became. She blushed a few times while sewing the men's clothes in her hands. When she was helping to deliver the clothes, she tore Yao Shui's letter and casually mentioned that the clothes were made by her. Of course, Chu Dongxing did not accept it. He even felt that this girl was strange. Why was she blushing when talking to him? How could Yao Shui's good friend be a good person? He casually said a few words and left. Wang Fun's expression was ugly. When she went back, she hurriedly returned the clothes to Yao Shui. Then, her parents found out about it and forbade the 2 of them to be in contact. She also said that Chu Dongxing hated the clothes that Yao Shui gave him and told her not to disgust him in the future. Wang Fun spread the words to both sides and played the role of sowing discord to the extreme. Then, she quickly distanced herself from Yao Shui and began to meet Chu Dongxing by chance. Chu Xiang was not from this era, and her thoughts were not as simple as theirs. She was the first person to notice Wang Fun's thoughts. She secretly teased Chu Dongxing. I didn't expect you to attract girls before you're divorced. Previously, Mom was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find a wife. However, be careful that she's a rotten girl. Brother, don't be so desperate. As soon as Chu Xiang said that, she was hit on the head. Chu Dongxing was angry and amused at the same time. What's the point of being a girl? I don't want a single girl. Chu Xiang was not afraid of him at all. She smiled and said, then you can be a bachelor. As long as you're not afraid that Mom will talk about you. Chu Dongxing didn't know what to do with his sister. However, when he heard that she supported his divorce, he felt very comfortable in his heart. If it weren't for his sister's support, maybe his mother would be worried about the girl. He didn't want to be tied to such a person for the rest of his life. In the future, he must keep his eyes open. He couldn't just get married after a blind date. Chu Dongxing followed Chu Xiang, making it impossible for people who wanted to get close to them. Chu Dongxing went to town and asked Chu Xiang to make snacks at home. However, Chu Xiang wanted to take something good out of her space to add some good food to the house, so she went into the mountain. Li Hongjun came out of the educated youth's place and saw Chu Xiang going into the mountain from a distance. He hurriedly went back to carry a bamboo basket and chased after her. Huo Wenkai frowned. He felt that Li Hongjun was a little excited. Thinking that Li Hongjun had been eyeing Chu Xiang recently, He simply found an excuse and went into the mountain with Li Hongjun. Chu Xiang raised a lot of animals in her space. She didn't worry about the lack of prey, so she was not in a hurry. She walked slowly in the mountain forest and looked for any wild fruits and vegetables. If she could transplant them into her space, she could take them out to eat more in the future. Of course, if she wanted to transplant fruit trees, she had to go deep into the mountain. Otherwise, she would be discovered in the periphery. She didn't go far before Li Hongjun caught up with her. He was very concerned and said, "Chu Xiang, did you forget to watch the road because you were thinking about something? We're almost deep into the mountains. It's too dangerous. We can't go any further." Chu Xiang looked at the plants around and said casually, "It's okay. I just want to have a look inside." Li Hongjun was stunned. "You're quite brave. I thought that the more beautiful a girl is, the braver she is. You're the prettiest girl in our brigade. You're also very spoiled at home. You're completely different from the other girls in the village." Li Hongjun no longer cared about the problem of going deep into the mountain. He looked straight at Chu Xiang with a handsome smile on his face. He thought that any girl who heard this would blush and be shy. Women were afraid of being pestered. If he pestered her a few more times, she would be his. Unexpectedly, Chu Xiang just said, as if she heard "you're not bad." What did she mean by Did she tacitly agree with his words and think that she was different? Li Hongjun was such a smooth talker, but he didn't know how to respond. At this moment, Huo Wenkai caught up. As soon as he saw Chu Xiang, he called her name and ran over. "Chu Xiang, your brother isn't here?" Chu Xiang smiled at him. "He went to town. Why are you here?" Huo Wenkai said bluntly, "I saw you going into the mountain alone. I was worried about you." He looked around again. "What are you looking for? I'll help you." Li Hongjun's face immediately darkened. "Huo Wenkai, I'm here. Can't you see me? I went into the mountain with Chu Xiang." Before he finished, he was interrupted by Huo Wenkai. "I promised Chu Dongxing to take care of his sister. Let's go inside and have a look. You can go down the mountain." Chapter 305. Of course, Chu Xiang had no interest in talking to Li Hongjun. She followed Huo Wenkai's words and said, "Comrade Li Hongjun, Huo Wenkai and I are going to take a look over there. We'll leave first. Goodbye." Her words didn't give him any leeway. Li Hongjun could only watch the two of them gradually walk away. He calmly went back to the station. He had never been a patient person. When he went back, he took advantage of the fact that everyone was there to say that Huo Wenkai was a toad who wanted to eat goose meat. A puppy with such poor composition actually wanted to marry Chu Xiang. Several educated youths were very surprised. After they went to the countryside, they thought of many ways to go back, but it was useless. If nothing unexpected happened, they would have to live here for the rest of their lives. Then finding a suitable person to marry was a very important choice, which determined the quality of their life in the future. Chu Xiang's conditions were definitely the best here. She was beautiful, had a good personality, was spoiled at home, was good at work and studied well. Most importantly, the Chu family's conditions were good. With the Chu family's help, their life in the future wouldn't be bad. But Huo Wenkai was actually pursuing Chu Xiang? This was really unexpected. Since Huo Wenkai wasn't here, they didn't have any scruples. They all talked about Huo Wenkai's poor composition. Huo Wenkai and Chu Xiang were checking the traps in the mountains. They didn't know that they were marginalized in the station. He whispered to Chu Xiang, "When you meet Li Hongjun in the future, you must find a way to get rid of him. He has evil intentions and will do anything to achieve his goal. Who knows what he will do?" Chu Xiang strengthened the traps and asked with a smile, "You are so worried about me. Did my brother really ask you to take care of me? So you usually care about me because of my brother?" Huo Wenkai didn't expect her to be so bold. This kind of question was equivalent to asking him directly what he meant. He pursed his lips. Of course, he couldn't push the credit to others. He looked at her and said, "I want to be good to you. Your brother can't wait for me to stay away from you." He took out a boiled egg from his pocket and handed it to Chu Xiang. "I exchanged it with someone else. It's a double yolk egg for you." Chu Xiang smiled and took it. She turned to face him and looked into his eyes. When did you start to treat me well? Huo Wenkai's gaze drifted and he cleared his throat. Just when you learned how to herd cows. I didn't know you before. Chu Xiang was very satisfied with his answer. Of course, she was even more satisfied with his face and figure. However, people in this era were very introverted, so she didn't tease him anymore. She lowered her head and put the egg away. I'll boil it at home before eating. Come to my house tomorrow for breakfast. You're the one who got the goat milk, so there's no reason for you not to drink it yourself. My brother's goat milk is especially delicious. Huo Wenkai's heart was filled with joy, and he subconsciously smiled. Okay, I'll get more goat milk tomorrow. Huo Wenkai got Chu Xiang's response. Although it was nothing, he was obviously more active. When Chu Xiang found a fruit tree, he climbed up the tree and picked a lot for her. He let her enjoy the shade under the tree and wait to eat the fruit. When Chu Xiang wanted to eat fish, he went down the river and forked 2 big fish. When Chu Xiang wanted to try if wild vegetables could be planted in her backyard, he dug a lot of wild vegetables with full roots and tails. In the end, the two of them worked together to catch a pheasant. Huo Wenkai carried these things and sent Chu Xiang home with a bamboo basket. Chu Xiang only moved her mouth casually the entire time. She did not do anything. When she got home, Lu Fang heard that she brought back 2 fish and immediately went to the kitchen to clean up the fish. Chu Xiang washed a few fruits and ate them. She leisurely felt that she might be spoiled in this life. She didn't need to be busy and someone would take care of everything for her. While Lu Fang was busy, she planted the wild vegetables with full roots and tails into the space. After all, the soil in the space was nourished by Reiki. Even if it became ordinary soil now, it was many times better than the soil outside. As soon as the wild vegetables were planted, they became energetic and didn't wilt at all. When she had time, she would also transplant the wild fruit tree into the space. Then she could take it out for her family to eat. They were good to her, and she certainly hoped that they could be good to her. Chu Xiang skillfully threw the pheasant caught in the mountain into the space, and then she caught a pheasant raised in the space and took it out. The same thing happened to the 2 fish before. She had unconsciously replaced the fish in the space with fish of similar size. Every time Huo Wenkai sent the goat milk, she also replaced it with goat milk in the space when she cooked. She also changed the ingredients and seasonings she used every time she cooked. Anyway, as long as it was food she cooked, she replaced it with the best ones. Lu Fang often praised her for cooking. In fact, it was not only because she was good at cooking, but also because she replaced all the ingredients with the best ones. During this period of time, Lu Fang and Chu Dongxing's complexion became much better. This was all thanks to Chu Xiang. However, outsiders didn't know that. When Yao Shui was driven away, they just thought that the Chu family became better purely because Yao Shui was gone. This made it even more obvious that Yao Shui and the Chu family were not on good terms. Otherwise, why would the 3 members of the Chu family all be happy and rosy after she left? If the Chu family really bullied Yao Shui, how could it be obvious that they improved so much when there was one less person to bully? Chu Xiang indirectly added a hammer to the hammer for Yao Shui, which made the rumors outside more and more intense, and also made Yao Shui's situation more difficult. Almost everyone thought that she should agree to the divorce. It was better to break it off than to be a couple with resentment. Yao Shui was so miserable. Of course, she was unwilling to accept it. She had suspected that Chu Xiang was reborn like her before, but because Chu Dongxing was with Chu Xiang, she didn't have a chance to verify it. Today, Chu Xiang finally went to the town, but Chu Xiang went to the mountain again. Yao Shui hid nearby for 2 hours before Chu Xiang came back. However, when she saw Chu Xiang and Huo Wenkai smiling together, she was stunned. In her previous life, Huo Wenkai went to Inner Mongolia for the college entrance examination. It was said that he wanted to take care of his family, but in less than a year, his whole family died in a big fire. When the brigade leader mentioned it, he felt sorry. If Chu Xiang was reborn, how could she be so close to Huo Wenkai? It seemed that they were going to be together. Would Chu Xiang like a person who would die in 2 years? Impossible. Because of Yao Shui's delay, Lu Fang was almost done with the fish. She was afraid that she would miss this opportunity, so she hurried to the wall and whispered to Chu Xiang. "Come out, I have something important to tell you." I also want to apologize to you. Chu Xiang didn't want to go out. She walked directly to the wall and ate a fruit. Just say it. I'm very tired. I want to rest. Yao Shui carefully looked at her expression and softened her tone. Xiang, I'm sorry for what happened in the past, but I'm sincere to your brother. I've been very good to him since I married him. Can you say a few words for me? No, I don't want you to be my sister-in-law. If you come back, won't I be unhappy to see you? Why should I say something for you? Chu Xiang leaned against the wall and looked at the chickens pecking at the food in the chicken coop. She didn't even look at her and didn't want to reason with her. Yao Shui suppressed her anger and said, Xiang, I swear that I'll be good to you in the future, as good as your brother. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. I've learned a new dish called fried 3 shreds. It's very delicious. I'll cook it for you. Whether it's 3 shreds or 4 shreds, with your cooking skills, it's just SOSO. I'm not interested. Chu Xiang was a little bored. As long as I'm here, you can forget about entering the Chu family. Oh, by the way, don't spread this. After all, my reputation is so good. Even if you spread it, no one will believe you. If you have nothing to do, hurry up and leave. Don't be an eyesore. Do you believe that I'll tell my brother that you bullied me? You. Chu Xiang, you're too much. Yao Shui couldn't bear it anymore and her voice was a little louder. Lu Feng heard some noise in the kitchen and asked, Xiang, who are you talking to? Chu Xiang didn't even think and said loudly, It's Yao Shui. Mom. She said that I'm too much and blamed me for not letting her come back. Yao Shui panicked. Chu Xiang, you're crazy. Chu Xiang smiled at her. Did I lie? Didn't you say that I'm too much and blame me for not letting you come back? In the time it took to say these 2 sentences, Lu Feng had already rushed over and scolded fiercely. What are you doing here again? Do you think that you haven't harmed my daughter enough? Hurry up and get lost. You can forget about entering the Chu family for the rest of your life. Lu Feng's loud voice had even attracted the attention of the neighbors. Yao Shui was so embarrassed that her face turned ashen. She glared fiercely at Chu Xiang and ran away quickly. She cursed Chu Xiang half to death in her heart. This sister-in-law was targeting her. She didn't like her, so she sowed discord and didn't let her return to the Chu family. All of her plans were ruined by Chu Xiang. However, at least she was sure of one thing. Chu Xiang was really not reborn. 2 years later, someone came up with a dish called stir-fried 3 shreds. The dish contained celery, which Chu Xiang hated the most. Chu Xiang's reaction just now was too natural. It didn't seem like she knew about it at all. Moreover, Chu Xiang wasn't very angry with her. If Chu Xiang knew that she had cheated on Chu Xiang in her previous life, she definitely wouldn't have reacted this way. After confirming this matter, Yao Shui's heart was at ease, but she felt even more aggrieved. Because if Chu Xiang wasn't reborn, then all of Chu Xiang's changes were because of her. Because she caused Chu Xiang to fall into the water, Chu Xiang didn't become a teacher. Because she created a rumor outside that Chu Xiang was lazy, Chu Xiang started to work in the fields to prove herself. Unexpectedly, Chu Xiang's reputation was restored and people suspected that she was the source of the rumor, causing Chu Xiang to hate her and target her. Yao Shui was more aggrieved than ever that she had caused herself to become like this. Lu Feng was still talking about Yao Shui at home. This person was too shameless. She almost killed Chu Xiang and still had the nerve to pester her. It was useless. Chu Xiang listened to them with a smile. From time to time, she would add fuel to the fire, which made Lu Feng hate Yao Shui even more. Although she replaced the original owner of the body and treated Lu Feng and Chu Dongxing well, the original owner had been killed by Yao Shui. She often created opportunities for Lu Feng and Chu Dongxing to scold Yao Shui, because they should scold Yao Shui, because she was their enemy. She guessed what kind of life Yao Shui might have had in her previous life. According to the conditions of the men in the village, she eliminated them one by one. Gradually, she thought of Yao Shui's avoidance of Li Hongjun. These 2 people were a little annoying. They were like flies that always circled around her and disturbed her learning. If they dared to come again, she might as well send them into a pile and let them annoy each other. Yao Shui and Li Hongjun, who couldn't sleep at night, shivered at the same time. They felt uncomfortable, but they soon continued to think about other things. They didn't know who they had offended. They only wanted to deal with a girl. In their opinion, it should be easy to deal with. Chapter 306. When Chu Dongxing heard that Li Hongjun wanted to pester his sister, an alarm went off in his mind. He was ready to keep an eye on Li Hongjun in the future. Unexpectedly, before he saw Li Hongjun, he saw Huo Wenkai first. He was not at home, and Huo Wenkai had the ability to get his sister to invite him over for dinner. Chu Dongxing looked at Huo Wenkai, who knocked on the door early in the morning. He narrowed his eyes and said, "How did you trick my sister?" Huo Wenkai smiled innocently and said, "Brother Chu, it's rare that we hit it off. Didn't you want to ask about the situation in Jing City last time? I'm free recently, can I tell you about it?" "Go away. Don't try to get close to me. You want to kidnap my sister? How dare you?" Chu Dongxing stood at the door and blocked him, with a fierce look on his face, as if he wanted to drive him out. Huo Wenkai said calmly, "Brother Chu, I found that Chu Xiang likes to study very much. If it weren't for the fact that she can't enter a university now, she would definitely be able to enter a very good university. It just so happens that my university studies are good. When I talked to Chu Xiang, she was quite happy. I saw that she was also very interested in all kinds of farm work. I'm not bad at it. Yesterday in the mountains, I talked a lot with her. But I think that she shouldn't do dirty work. If I saw it, I would definitely do it for her. It's good that she can stay happy like she is now." Chu Dongxing could tell that Huo Wenkai and Chu Xiang had something in common. Huo Wenkai even made it clear that he would not let Chu Xiang work in the future. He would protect and pamper her, and let Chu Xiang live the same life as she did now. Chu Dongxing snorted twice and was reluctantly satisfied. He stepped aside and let him in. Although he had promised Lu Fang to help choose suitable men for her, he did not find a single one that he was satisfied with. Now that his sister was interested in Huo Wenkai, he thought about it. It seemed that except for the fact that his background was not very good, Huo Wenkai was really the best candidate for his brother-in-law. Of course, the most important thing was Chu Xiang's attitude. Since Chu Xiang invited Huo Wenkai to dinner, he directly listed Huo Wenkai as his brother-in-law's candidate, and he was the only candidate he considered at present. With a smile, Huo Wenkai gave the enamel vat of goat milk to Chu Xiang. He stayed in the kitchen and squatted down to help Chu Xiang with the fire. He even took out a hot-boiled egg for Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang asked as she peeled the egg, "The egg you gave me yesterday was really a double yolk egg. How did you know?" "It's just that the shape of the double yolk egg is different from other eggs. The weight is also different." Huo Wenkai really didn't know what to say. "It's just a feeling. My grandma taught me. She's especially good at looking at these things and pickling salted eggs. Every salted egg can drip with oil. The double yolk salted eggs are even more delicious." Chu Xiang's culinary skills were top-notch, but she had never studied pickled vegetables before. She squatted beside Huo Wenkai and ate an egg. She curiously asked, "Then do you know how to pickle salted eggs? I want to eat them after listening to you." Huo Wenkai shook his head. "I mainly studied before, so I didn't pay attention to these things. I'll ask my grandma when I send a letter to her next month. If she can reply to me, I'll pickle them for you." Chu Xiang noticed the worry under his smile. It seemed that he hadn't received a letter from them for a long time. Chu Xiang whispered, "They may not speak the language on the farm, and they are strict. It's not convenient for them to write to you. But now the situation is getting better and better. Maybe it won't be long before you can visit them." "I hope so." Huo Wenkai didn't want to think about these unhappy things. He smelled the smell in the air and smiled. "Is the goat milk ready? It smells so good. Okay, help me scoop it out. Let's eat." Chu Xiang finished the last bite of the egg and went out with the breakfast. As soon as she went out, she saw Chu Dongxing's dark face. She couldn't help laughing. "Brother, be careful of wrinkles. If we go out together, people will think that you are my uncle." "What nonsense." Chu Dongxing glanced at the kitchen and muttered, "He only knows how to curry favor. Don't be fooled by him. My sister is the best. Her future partner must also be the best." Chu Xiang smiled and asked, "Brother, who do you think is the best?" Chu Dongxing was suddenly speechless. Among the people he had met, No one was better than Huo Wenkai. Except for the ingredients, there was nothing to be picky about. Seeing Huo Wenkai come out, he whispered to Chu Xiang. As long as you are happy, it's fine. But you still can't rush. Take it slow. I know, brother. Chu Xiang blinked at him, indicating that she was still on his side and wouldn't be so easily fooled. Chu Dongxing's face became better. Chu Dongxing and Huo Wenkai admired each other and had a good relationship. Now that the excitement had passed, they chatted like good brothers. Huo Wenkai was now pursuing Chu Xiang, so his response was naturally not as cold as before. He was trying his best to show off, trying to let Chu Dongxing and Lu Fang know what he was capable of. When it was time to go to work, he also began to help Chu Xiang. Lu Fang watched by the side. Even if she was not very satisfied with his ingredients, she was very satisfied with his dedication to Chu Xiang. The main thing was that Chu Xiang liked him, so she didn't have any objections. But when chatting with her old friends, she didn't say anything. Only Huo Wenkai had a good relationship with Chu Xiang and helped Chu Dongxing take care of Chu Xiang. These words could deceive others, but they couldn't fool the educated youths. They had lived in the same courtyard with Huo Wenkai for so long, but they had never seen Huo Wenkai like this. When Huo Wenkai came, he sleepwalked and beat up Li Hongjun. He was assigned to live in a room alone. He usually didn't eat with them. He turned a blind eye to the female educated youth's kindness. He was arrogant in his bones. Now he was trying to get close to Chu Xiang. Everyone knew what he was trying to do. Li Hongjun stared at Huo Wenkai with gloomy eyes and spat. Despicable son of a bitch. I knew he was just pretending to earn work points to send things to his family. How long has it been? It hasn't been a year, and he already has his eyes on Chu Xiang. If he marries Chu Xiang, won't he be able to take things from the Chu family and send them to his family in the future? He's quite good at scheming. Brother Lu frowned. Don't. We're all educated youths. Don't fight among yourselves. If they can really succeed, it's a good thing. What good thing? Bah. Li Hongjuan's face was full of indignation. Brother Lu found an excuse and went to work elsewhere. He knew what Li Hongjun was upset about. Li Hongjun had done a lot of things for Chu Xiang. He even asked them to help him pursue Chu Xiang. After they succeeded, he would give them many benefits and so on. Unfortunately, they had thought of many ideas, but before they could put them into action, Huo Wenkai had beaten them to it. It was true that good girls were sought after by many families, but it was not appropriate for them to get involved. If Li Hongjun was not convinced, he could only work harder. Yao Shui had been paying attention to the situation here. When she found out that Li Hongjun had his eyes on Chu Xiang, she was delighted and secretly avoided others to find Li Hongjun. It was the first time in her life that she was alone with Li Hongjun. At first, she felt uncomfortable, but she soon found out that Li Hongjuan's thoughts were all on Chu Xiang. She was angry again. In her previous life, Li Hongjun was her husband, but now he was thinking about Chu Xiang. All the malice in her heart came out. She pretended to be wronged and asked Li Hongjun if he liked Chu Xiang. She had a conflict with Chu Xiang. As long as Chu Xiang was at home, she could not go back. She might as well matchmake Chu Xiang and Li Hongjun. When Chu Xiang got married, she could go back. Yao Shui had to be tactful. She put herself in an innocent position and did not forget to slander Chu Xiang. However, Li Hongjun did not care about this. He only felt that it was a conflict between women, and Yao Shui was willing to help him. He asked Yao Shui if she had any ideas. Yao Shui told him that Chu Xiang was used to going to town every few days. She would think of a way to send Huo Wenkai and Lu Fang away, so that Li Hongjun could seize the opportunity to win Chu Xiang's heart. She also emphasized that Chu Xiang did not know how to swim and told Li Hongjun not to bring Chu Xiang to the river. After Yao Shui left, Li Hongjun thought about it. In such a short time, even a god would not be able to win Chu Xiang's heart. The only way was to make Chu Xiang marry him. Chu Xiang did not know how to swim, so he would let Chu Xiang fall into the river. Then he would take advantage of the situation and tie himself to Chu Xiang. Li Hongjun laughed a few times. He felt that Yao Shui was really evil for coming up with such a plan. However, Chu Xiang had been ignoring him, but she was so close to Huo Wenkai. If he did not do this, Chu Xiang and Huo Wenkai might get married. How was that bastard better than him? Chu Xiang was a blind woman. He should use such a method to deal with her. Most importantly, other than Chu Xiang, no other girl in the village was so favored. Even if he married her, he would not get much help. Chu Xiang was his best choice. After thinking about it, Li Hongjun decided to do this. The only thing he wanted now was to not give himself away. When the time came, he would put himself in an innocent position. After all, Yao Shui was reborn, so she knew more about some things in the village. When Chu Dongxing went to town, she found some excuses to send Lu Fang and Huo Wenkai away. It was rare for Chu Xiang to be alone, so she was quite happy. She went to the mountains to transplant a few wild fruit trees that she liked into her space. As soon as she entered the mountains, Li Hongjun hurriedly avoided people and chased after her. He wanted to test Chu Xiang's feelings one last time. He caught up with Chu Xiang and talked to her. Chu Xiang's attitude was indifferent, and she even wanted to send him away several times. He was angry and frowned. "Comrade Chu Xiang, have you been close to Huo Wenkai recently? Do you know his family situation?" Chu Xiang was a little interested. "What's his family situation? Do you know?" "Of course I know. I used to live with him on front and back streets." "Comrade Chu Xiang, don't be fooled by his flowery words. His great-grandfather was a big landlord. He had 6 concubines at home. At that time, he was beaten and paraded in the streets. That old man was in his 80s and died on the street. His grandmother was even his grandfather's child bride. She had been by his grandfather's side as a maidservant. His father is a university professor. Huo Wenkai was obviously not good at his studies, but when he grew up, he entered the university where his father taught. Maybe his father got in through the back door to change his grades. His family is a mess. You must be careful of him." Chu Xiang believed that half of what Li Hongjun said was true, but there was definitely a part of it that was deliberately exaggerated. She smiled carelessly. "I know. Thank you for telling me. I don't know the Huo family, but Huo Wenkai is very outstanding. I want to go over there to take a look. I won't go with you. Goodbye." Li Hongjuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He never expected that Chu Xiang would not care about the Huo family's matters at all. Did she like Huo Wenkai that much? He wanted to see if the two of them could still be together if Chu Xiang lost her virginity. Chapter 307. Li Hongjun caught up with Chu Xiang and no longer mentioned those things. Instead, he thought of ways to lead Chu Xiang to the river. He originally thought that Chu Xiang was a spoiled girl and would be easy to coax. Who knew that Chu Xiang was so stubborn and refused to go? She even pulled a long face and told him to go away. Li Hongjun looked around and confirmed that there was no one around. Then he became bold and directly pounced on Chu Xiang. The crime of being a hooligan was very serious, but if 1 in 100 women dared to make a fuss about it, it would be considered impressive. If he took advantage of Chu Xiang would only marry him. The heaven and earth mirror was Chu Xiang's eyes and ears. The moment Li Hongjun moved, Chu Xiang cleverly dodged and used the anti-pervert technique to pierce his eyes, throat, and legs in one go. Li Hongjun screamed and fell down. He curled up like a shrimp and kept wailing. His upper, middle, and lower body parts were in severe pain. His 2 hands were not enough to cover them. Chu Xiang was surprised and said, "Are you okay?" I didn't know it was so painful. My sister-in-law didn't teach me yesterday." Li Hongjuan's wailing stopped. "Your sister-in-law?" Chu Xiang said innocently. "Yes, my sister-in-law wanted to hit me yesterday. She taught me a few moves in advance and said that I must practice them well. This time, she wanted to atone for her crime by good deeds, and asked me to put in a good word for her in front of my brother." Li Hongjuan's face was ferocious. He gritted his teeth and hammered the ground. "Yao Shui, B*tc." At this time, Chu Xiang learned from the heaven and earth mirror that Yao Shui went up the mountain. She touched her chin and glanced at Li Hongjun, who was still rolling on the ground. She couldn't bring those good things from the cultivation world, but she was also a divine doctor. The pharmacy in the space was filled with all kinds of medicine in case of emergency. She took out a white porcelain medicine bottle and dripped a drop of medicine on his exposed skin. Li Hongjun was still covering his painful eyes and didn't see or notice. The medicine was instantly absorbed when it touched his skin. Chu Xiang held the medicine bottle. "You're so serious. You need to see a doctor, right? I'll call someone over." Li Hongjun called her name loudly, but Chu Xiang had already run away. He angrily hammered the ground twice, covered his face, and knelt on the ground, cursing incessantly. Chu Xiang quickly ran down the mountain and bumped into Yao Shui. Unable to stop in time, she knocked Yao Shui down. Chu Xiang ran away without looking back. She didn't even look at her. Yao Shui hated Chu Xiang's attitude of not taking her seriously. She rubbed her sore arm and stood up, not noticing that a drop of medicine had disappeared from her hand. She recalled that Chu Xiang's clothes didn't seem to be wet. She ran away in such a hurry. Could it be that Li Hongjun failed? Or had he already succeeded? She was eager to know the inside story, so she followed the direction Chu Xiang had come from. The medicine was a strong aphrodisiac, and the effect was very fast. The two of them didn't even have time to say a few words when they met before they rolled together. Chu Xiang slowed down when she reached the foot of the mountain. She took out a big basket of wild fruits and a wild rabbit from her storage space. However, her expression was a little gloomy. Along the way, someone saw her. At first, they were surprised that she had so many things. Then they wondered why she was unhappy. "What's wrong? Why are you still unhappy with the rabbit?" Chu Xiang shook her head. "It's nothing. I just bumped into Yao Shui when I was going down the mountain. She's so annoying. Isn't there a mountain near her brigade?" "Yao Shui is here again? Your brother isn't at home today, right? Did she pester you just now?" Chu Xiang shook her head again, and was stunned for a moment. "She didn't talk to me. She was shocked when she saw me and ran away immediately. It seemed like she didn't want to see me." She then laughed. "So I was thinking too much. She wasn't here to look for us at all. Auntie, I'm going home. My mom will be worried if I get home late." Okay. The woman who was addressed as Auntie couldn't help but whisper to the others after she left. If Yao Shui wasn't here to look for the Chu family, then what was she doing in the mountains of their brigade? Weren't the two brigades on the same mountain? Why was Yao Shui so shocked when she bumped into Chu Xiang? Could it be that she had found something good in the mountains? A few years ago, someone had found ginseng in the mountains. Although it had been handed over, that person had secretly kept a few whiskers. Later on, it had saved his wife's life when she had a difficult birth. That was a good thing. If someone had found it now, they might have secretly hidden it away. Anyway, there wasn't much to do at the moment. The few of them were curious. They each took a basket and went into the mountains together. They wanted to know what Yao Shui was doing, and they wanted to dig up some wild vegetables to eat. Thus, when Chu Xiang was cooking braised rabbit meat at home, the naked Li Hongjun and Yao Shui were caught red-handed in the mountains. The two of them woke up when they heard the screams. When they realized their situation, their faces turned pale. They hurriedly grabbed their clothes and put them on. However, the few people who went into the mountains were all women in their 40s. They weren't afraid of the taboo. Instead, they were very angry. They went up and grabbed the two of them. They didn't even let them put on their clothes properly. They only covered the important parts and dragged them down the mountain. The few of them shouted loudly, and everyone came out to watch the show. They dragged the two of them all the way to the brigade leader's house. Yao Shui was so scared that her whole body trembled. Her face was pale. She couldn't understand. She just wanted to ask if it was a success. How did she end up getting herself involved? Li Hongjun was even more angry. He had always been proud of being from the capital. His first reaction was that Yao Shui had taken a liking to him and deliberately messed up the good thing between him and Chu Xiang. Yao Shui was someone who was going to be abandoned by the Chu family. What kind of life did a divorced woman have in this era? The conditions of a divorced woman were definitely not good. Didn't Yao Shui have her eyes on him? After all, it was his first marriage and he was an educated youth who had graduated from high school. He might be able to return to the capital in the future. Li Hongjun thought that he understood. When he saw the brigade leader, he immediately shouted that Yao Shui had seduced him and drugged him. No one believed that she had drugged him. They had never heard of such a drug. Besides, Who would know how to make such a drug in a remote village? Everyone believed that the two of them were fooling around. Li Hongjun didn't want to take the blame and pushed all the blame to Yao Shui. Yao Shui hurriedly denied. I didn't. I don't know what happened. I saw him and said a few words. I'm the victim. The woman who went up the mountain pushed her. Bah. Who are you lying to? If you didn't take the initiative, why did you come to our brigade's mountain? Why did you hide when you saw Chu Xiang? I thought you were pestering Chu Xiang. Now that Chu Dongxing isn't here, why didn't you say a few words when you saw Chu Xiang? It turns out that the adulterer is here. I didn't. Chu Xiang. Yes, it must be Chu Xiang. I met her when I entered the mountain. She knocked me down and ran down the mountain. She must be having an affair with Li Hongjun and ran because something happened. I was dizzy. Chu Xiang must have drugged me. Yao Shui gave Li Hongjun a look. You're slandering me. Are you trying to protect Chu Xiang? You went to the mountain to have a rendezvous with Chu Xiang, right? Li Hongjun got the hint and had an idea. What would happen if he insisted that Chu Xiang was his girlfriend? Before he could figure it out, the women got angry. Yao Shui, do you think we're fools? Chu Xiang came down the mountain with a basket full of fruits and a rabbit in her hand. Her clothes were neat and tidy, except for her sleeves that were stained with soil. Even her hair was not messed up. She didn't look like someone who fooled around like you. If she ran down the mountain, would her hair be so neat? Would the fruits not fall to the ground? Captain, this person is lying. Last time she harmed Chu Xiang. This time, she cheated with someone. We can't let her off. Li Hongjun and Yao Shui were stunned. Chu Xiang got a basket full of fruits and a rabbit? How was that possible? Where did she get them? Before they could refute, Lu Fang and Chu Dongsheng, who had received the news, squeezed through the door. Lu Fang pounced on Yao Shui angrily and slapped her twice. How dare you cheat on my son? I'll beat you to death today. Yao Shui screamed and dodged. Her clothes were torn apart, revealing her tank top and a large part of her skin. The young villagers swallowed their saliva. Chu Dongxing glanced at her with a sullen face and punched Li Hongjun in the nose. Li Hongjun immediately started bleeding. Then Chu Dongxing punched Li Hongjun again and again. His good friends were also very angry. They crowded around Li Hongjun and beat him up. They took off his clothes and pants, leaving him with only a pair of underwear. They wanted to send him to the town to be sentenced as a hooligan. They didn't know how he would be sentenced, but wasn't he a hooligan for having an affair with someone else's wife? Li Hongjun and Yao Shui were beaten until they screamed. The captain allowed them to beat them up for a while before calling for someone to separate them. Coincidentally, the Yao family also rushed over. The captain pointed at Yao Shui and said coldly, "No family can stand such a daughter-in-law. This marriage must be divorced." Yao Shui insisted that she was the victim. The Yao family naturally followed suit and said that they should be responsible for investigating what happened to Yao Shui in the Dawn Brigade. The captain was so angry that he was amused. Chu Dongxing looked at them coldly. "I'll go to town to get the divorce certificate tomorrow. If the Yao family doesn't let me live well, then none of you can live well." When the Yao family saw Chu Dongxing's fist, they couldn't help but tremble. The last time Chu Dongxing beat them up, it took them a few days to recover. A few of them grumbled, and even kicked Li Hongjun a few times in the chaos before dragging Yao Shui away. Chu Dongxing glanced at his brothers. The eldest brother of the Yao family was beaten up when he woke up at night. If Yao Shui didn't get a divorce, no one in the Yao family would live well. Secondly, the Yao family came to the door first and accused Chu Dongxing of beating them up. However, Chu Dongxing drank with a few people in the village that night. Everyone could testify for him. When they asked the eldest brother of the Yao family who beat him up, he refused to say. They said that it must be Chu Dongxing's friend. There was no other way. They didn't know who the person was. Everyone could say that the eldest brother of the Yao family was Hu Pao. That night, the eldest brother of the Yao family didn't wake up again. However, a sack of rats was thrown into the Yao parents' house. The Yao family struggled for half a night before they caught all the rats. The Yao parents were exhausted and didn't dare to stay in the house. Even if they weren't afraid of the rats, it was uncomfortable to have so many of them come in at once. After 2 days, The Yao family completely believed Chu Dongxing's threat. In their opinion, this was all Yao Shui's own fault. Moreover, Yao Shui had an affair. Wouldn't it be more embarrassing if she didn't get a divorce? Since the pillars of the Yao family, Father Yao and eldest brother Yao, had spoken, it was useless for Yao Shui to insist. Thirdly, Mother Yao, eldest sister-in-law Yao, and second sister-in-law Yao took Yao Shui to get a divorce. The moment Chu Dongxing received the divorce certificate, he heaved a sigh of relief and was really happy. However, when Yao Shui saw his undisguised smile, hatred spread in her heart. Did he really think that she wouldn't be able to live well without him? She was reborn. Even if she didn't rely on others, she would definitely be able to make a fortune. Chapter 308. When Chu Dongxing returned home with the divorce certificate, Lu Fang set up a brazier at the door and whipped Chu Dongxing with a few willow twigs. She smiled and said, "Get rid of the bad luck, get rid of the bad luck. From now on, everything will go smoothly, and everything will be great." Chu Xiang prepared a table full of dishes and stood at the door with a smile. "Brother, you will get better and better in the future. Next time, keep your eyes open and marry a good sister-in-law. The good days are still ahead." Chu Dongxing smelled the food and looked at his happy mother and sister. He felt relieved. He saw Huo Wenkai, who came to help. He patted Huo Wenkai's shoulder and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "You sleepwalked last night and beat Li Hongjun until he couldn't get out of bed. I will remember your kindness and drink with you next time." Huo Wenkai smiled. The word brother meant that Chu Dongxing had acknowledged him. He could beat Li Hongjun a few more times. Many villagers came to congratulate Chu Dongxing. Even those who thought that Chu Dongxing was too cold to Yao Shui stood on Chu Dongxing's side after Yao Shui's affair. They congratulated him for his freedom. Yao Shui's reputation had been thoroughly tarnished. This time, she had been proven guilty for harming Chu Xiang. Everyone felt that with her character, it wasn't strange for her to do anything. The previous rumors were definitely true. Li Hongjun, who fooled around with Yao Shui, did not get any benefits. He was not only despised by the villagers, but also hated by the educated youth. He alone ruined the reputation of all the educated youths in the educated youth station. Now when the villagers saw them, they looked at them with caution. Li Hongjun suddenly became a target of scorn. The entire brigade hated him. After this, the two of them quieted down and did not go near Chu Xiang anymore. Chu Xiang could finally learn all the farm work in the field. In fact, she had learned almost everything. Her divine sense was the divine sense of a demonic cultivator. It was equivalent to a fully developed brain. She was destined to be 100 times better than ordinary people. Moreover, the people in the Dawn Brigade only knew ordinary skills passed down from generation to generation. They might have some tricks, but they would not have too much knowledge. Chu Xiang was a fast learner. In other people's eyes, people who were good at studying were smart. Learning was very useful. The daughter of the Chu family was very smart. It was good for Chu Xiang that others thought highly of Chu Xianglai. When Chu Xiang proposed a new farming idea based on the cultivation of medicinal herbs, some people were willing to believe her. They went to the brigade leaders with Lu Fang and Chu Dongxing, and improved the crops they were responsible for with Chu Xiang's method. Later, the sow in the brigade had a difficult birth, and the pig-rearing veteran sweated profusely. Chu Xiang proposed to try, and the brigade leader also hesitated and let her try. Chu Xiang could even save a person who had just died, so saving a pig in difficult labor was a piece of cake. She helped the pig give birth while explaining why she did it. Many people were confused, but they felt that Chu Xiang was very smart. Especially in the end, Chu Xiang succeeded. The sow and piglets were all safe. The whole brigade was happy to protect their important property. They valued Chu Xiang, the girl with the best grades in the brigade, even more. Therefore, when Chu Xiang wanted to uproot half of the vegetables in the backyard and plant medicinal herbs, the villagers did not say anything. Instead, they took the initiative to find excuses for Chu Xiang. She was smart. She could understand how to plant medicinal herbs just by reading some books. If the herbs were planted well, the villagers might be able to cure their illnesses in the future. This was a good thing. Chu Xiang was shining in the brigade. Ran, who was in the permanent brigade next door, also heard about it. Yao Shui sneered when she heard about it. Her ex-sister-in-law could not carry anything. She had not done much farm work since she was an adult. How many years had she learned? She was already messing around. Wasn't she just lucky enough to save a sow? Those idiots were all praising her. Just wait. When the autumn harvest came, the crops that Chu Xiang touched would definitely not be harvested well. The medicinal herbs would definitely not survive. When that time came, Chu Xiang would be despised by the whole community. Everyone relied on the fields to make a living. She dared to mess around with the crops. She should be prepared to be scolded. However, there was still some time before the autumn harvest. Yao Shui was annoyed when she heard about Chu Xiang's glorious deeds. She still remembered how Chu Xiang ran down the mountain. She firmly believed that Chu Xiang was the one who harmed her. She had to take revenge for the deep hatred of 2 lifetimes. Even if she could not take revenge now, she could not lose to Chu Xiang. Yao Shui could not hold her head high in the permanent brigade. She was also hated by everyone at home. Listening to their sarcastic remarks, her anger accumulated. She was eager to do something to prove her ability and give them a slap in the face. Hence, Yao Shui thought of ways to steal money from the Yao family. She went to the black market in town to buy a bicycle ticket and a sewing ticket. When she returned, she increased the price and sold them to the family who were worried about the wedding. After selling them a few times, she had more money in her hands. However, such tickets were very rare. She could not sell them too much. She also relied on her memory of the future to buy some cloth. She asked Mother Yao to make clothes according to her style, and sold them in the black market. She really made double the money. It was a pity that trading was not allowed now. She could only earn some money secretly. There was no way she could expand her business. Yao Shui was very unhappy. However, the money she brought back made Mother Yao very happy. Mother Yao's attitude towards her also became more affectionate. This made her life in the Yao family much better. This made her feel smug. She felt that she had been wrong from the start. So what if Chu Dongxing could make a lot of money and treat his wife well? She also had a chance to make a lot of money. When she became a big boss, she would be able to buy fresh meat. Furthermore, she knew the development of society in the future. She knew what would make money and what would lose money. She would definitely be more successful than Chu Dongxing in the future. In such a short time, she felt that she had turned over a new leaf. Naturally, she wanted to show off in front of Chu Dongxing and the rest. She even specially made a new set of clothes, and used the excuse of looking for Wang Fun to enter the Dawn Brigade. Unexpectedly, she met Chu Xiang as soon as she entered the brigade. Chu Xiang was also wearing a new set of clothes. The two of them faced each other. The difference between them was like the difference between a sister and a maid. The most embarrassing thing was that the one who looked like a maid was her, not Chu Xiang. Chapter 309. Yao Shui regretted it the moment she saw Chu Xiang. She wanted to walk past her without interfering with her. However, Chu Xiang stopped in front of her and frowned. She looked disgusted. Yao Shui, how dare you come to our brigade to look for Li Hongjun? Do you think the Chu family is easy to bully? The others did not think much of it at first, but when they heard that, they immediately reacted and looked at Yao Shui in a strange way. Yao Shui's face turned cold and she reprimanded her. Don't talk nonsense. I have nothing to do with Li Hongjun. You're the one who set me up. This matter is known only to you, me and you. Now you're trying to set me up. Your heart is black. You're too vicious. Chu Xiang looked at her from head to toe and shook her head. What do you have that makes you worthy of me being vicious to you? Forget it. Talking to you is a waste of my time. Then, she looked at Wang Fun and said coldly, Wang Fun, don't give my brother eggs in the future. My brother has to go to your house to return them. It's too troublesome. Oh, and the clothes you made for my brother last time. We're not related, so I'm sorry to trouble you. Don't do it again. Goodbye. Yao Shui was about to quarrel with Chu Xiang, but when she heard that Wang Fun was pursuing Chu Dongxing, she immediately stared at Wang Fun in disbelief. Chu Xiang walked past them and walked away comfortably. The villagers nearby looked at Wang Fun a few more times. Some people even muttered, Wang Fun and Yao Shui are indeed sisters. Birds of a feather flock together. Wang Feng lowered her head and walked away awkwardly. However, Yao Shui did not let her go. She grabbed her and said angrily, "You better be clear. What clothes? I bought those clothes and asked you to make them. How dare you tell Chu Dongxing that you made those clothes for him? Do you have any shame?" Wang Feng panicked. "What are you talking about? I only made the clothes. I told him that you gave them to him. How am I shameless? Didn't I make the clothes? Bah. I spent 2 yuan to ask you to make clothes for me. You're at most a female worker. What right do you have to make Chu Dongxing misunderstand? Why didn't he accept me? He's even becoming colder and colder towards me. It turns out that he didn't even pass on the message that I asked you to pass on. No, I did it for you. I did it word for word. You think I'll believe you? UB*TC. You took advantage of my quarrel with Chu Dongxing just because you're my friend. Why? Chu Dongxing ignored you? Huh? Who do you think you are? He wouldn't want you even if you offered yourself to him. Shut up. The one he doesn't want is you. You're the one who harmed your sister-in-law and had an affair. You were caught red-handed and your naked body was seen by everyone. You still have the nerve to scold me? This is the Dawn Brigade. If I were you, I would have committed suicide by jumping into the river. How would I have the face to step into the Dawn Brigade? You're the most shameless one. Wang Feng had no choice but to scold her. What's wrong with me liking Chu Dongxing? Isn't it yours? He was a one-of-a-kind good man. He doted on his wife, took care of his family, was filial to his mother, and doted on his sister. He didn't even let his wife do the housework. He was also very capable and handsome. You told me all this. What's wrong with me liking him? He's already divorced you. So what if I'm dating him? You be*TCH. I'll tear you apart. Yao Shui was so angry that she raised her hand and slapped Wang Feng. She grabbed Wang Feng's hair and scratched her face. Wang Feng was not to be outdone. She was very strong and quickly gained the upper hand. She pressed Yao Shui to the ground and hit her where it hurt. A few women around them came forward to stop the fight. However, there was a difference between friends and strangers. Even if Wang Feng's actions were criticized, she was still better than Yao Shui. They naturally sided with Wang Feng when they tried to stop the fight. Yao Shui was hit many times by Wang Feng. Her body was bruised and her face was scratched a few times. In less than 10 minutes, the whole brigade heard about this farce. Li Hongjun put down his bowl and walked out of the station with a gloomy face. A few of the educated youths looked at each other. Someone asked, "What does he want now?" Brother Lu thought for a while and said, "Don't bother about him. He has nothing to do with us." Li Hongjun did not leave the station. He heard their words clearly and his face became even gloomier. They ostracized him even more than they ostracized Huo Wenkai. They even looked at him with disdain. This was all because of that B*TCH Yao Shui. Li Hongjun avoided the people and ran into the forest between the two brigades. When Yao Shui was walking back alone, he dragged her into the forest and gave her 2 tight slaps. B*TCH. You dare to harm me. Yao Shui screamed and covered her face in fear. Li Hongjun? What are you doing? Are you crazy? Li Hongjun's face was ferocious. I'm crazy. Yes, I'm crazy. It's all because of you. UB*TCH used unscrupulous means to return to the Chu family. You used me as a stepping stone and purposely gave me ideas. You even told Chu Xiang that someone wanted to harm her, and taught her to hit me. A woman's heart is indeed the most vicious. You're the most vicious one. Yao Shui dodged his fist in panic. I didn't. If I really did that, I wouldn't have been caught with you. I'm the victim. We were all harmed. It's Chu Xiang. You can't believe a single word she says. She's the most vicious one. Do you think I'm stupid? I've observed Chu Xiang for so long. If it wasn't for her innocence, how could I have fallen for her? Yao Shui, you're full of lies. You're disgusting. The most disgusting thing is that Chu Xiang and Chu Dongxing didn't let you go back. After you failed, you tried to hit on me. Let me tell you, I won't marry you even if I'm a bachelor. Who knows who you use such despicable means to sleep with? Stay away from me in the future. Don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'll hit you every time I see you. Li Hongjun hated Yao Shui to the core. He did not hold back at all when he hit her. Yao Shui screamed in pain. The forest was between the two brigades. Usually no one would hear Yao Shui's loud screams. While the two of them were fighting, Li Hongjun tore off the buttons on Yao Shui's body. Yao Shui's clothes were opened, revealing her snow-white skin. The pleasant feeling of the two of them rolling together appeared in Li Hongjun's mind. His body immediately heated up. He retracted his fist and touched Yao Shui up and down. He whispered in her ear, "It's not impossible for you to be with me. If you serve me well, I'll bring you to the capital." Yao Shui was naturally unwilling. She tried her best to resist, but she was slapped by Li Hongjun again. Li Hongjun said angrily, "You're the one who came to provoke me. Why are you pretending to be chaste now?" Yao Shui did not want to be hit again. Most importantly, they were husband and wife in their previous life. They had done such things many times. She did not reject it so much in her heart. However, her actions made Li Hongjun look down on her even more. If this woman did not fall for him, how could she be so obedient now? He guessed right. He was in this state because of this woman. Chu Xiang quickly called the heaven and earth mirror back. She touched the heaven and earth mirror and said, "Jinger, it's really hard for you to keep an eye on them. It hurts my eyes." Chu Xiang did not expect the two of them to be together. They were really shameless. She threw the two of them to the back of her mind and went to the backyard to tend to the herbs. After a while, Chu Dongxing came over to help her. He asked, "Will it work? Are the herbs growing well or not?" Chu Xiang smiled and said, "I'm so meticulous. Of course, they'll grow well. Look at how energetic they are. It won't be long before we can start drying the herbs. Oh yes, brother, remember to make a few big baskets for me and make a few shelves for me to dry the herbs." "Okay, but you have to promise me that you won't give these herbs to others. It's not that I don't trust you, but if someone eats them and doesn't feel right, you'll be in trouble. There's a doctor in the health center. You don't have to treat them. You can just eat them at home." Chu Xiang picked up a leaf and rubbed it on the wound on Chu Dongxing's hand. "I'll remember it. Brother, you're so naggy. If you're worried, you can be my tester. You can take this off after a while. It can stop the pain and make the wound heal faster." Of course, Chu Dongxing was willing to help his sister test the medicine. He agreed without hesitation. He didn't take it seriously at first. Unexpectedly, the wound really didn't hurt anymore. After 2 or 3 days, it was healed faster than other wounds without medicine. This time he and Lu Feng were both surprised. No wonder Chu Xiang was always first in the exam. It turned out that she was so smart that she could figure it out by reading medical books. However, Chinese medicine was not very recognized now, so they didn't dare to do it openly. Chu Dongxing ran to the waste station and secretly brought back a few old medical books for Chu Xiang to read secretly. It was rare for his sister to have something she was interested in. As her brother, of course, he had to support her. Chu Xiang was also happy to cooperate. She had a legitimate excuse to show her medical skills. Every time she was free, she would go into the room to read books. However, she didn't forget to make all kinds of snacks. After several attempts, she succeeded in making delicious red bean cakes and mung bean cakes with simple ingredients, as well as maltose candy, peanut cakes and cheese. These things happened to be easy to take. Chu Dongxing didn't need to go hunting in the mountains, nor did he need to sell other things. He could often make a lot of money by selling snacks and candies in the black market. He had always been clever. Occasionally he would go to the factory to sell things. Soon he would sell out and then run away. Just like guerrilla warfare, he had a lot of gains and secretly bought a lot of good things at home. Lu Feng was afraid that her son would be unhappy because of the green hat, so she let him do it. However, she always reminded him to be careful. The whole family was bold, so it was convenient for Chu Xiang to do a lot of things. Chu Xiang began to learn how to brew wine according to the books. She also learned how to make soy sauce, vinegar, and various spices by herself. Chu Dongxing and Lu Feng both spoiled her, and Huo Wenkai also helped her to give advice. Chu Xiang couldn't help but sigh. If she was really an innocent girl, she would be spoiled by these 3 people. Fortunately, she was strong-willed and grew up strong under their sugar-coated bullets. In 2 months, Several times Lu Fang and Chu Dongxing had a cold or a headache. Chu Xiang would make some medicine for them. Gradually, the people who were close to them heard about it. There were also a few people who felt uncomfortable. They felt that the clinic was too far away, and came over to try the medicine from Chu Xiang, who knew that the medicine was very effective. It took effect even faster than the pills in the clinic. The news that Chu Xiang had learned how to treat patients soon spread. Chu Xiang grew up under the eyes of the villagers. They saw that she was good at studying, learned farming work quickly, and learned how to grow herbs and make medicine by herself. It was equivalent to witnessing Chu Xiang's excellence and success. No one doubted her at all. Instead, they felt honored and liked her more and more. The elders who came to introduce her to men were almost breaking the threshold of his house. Chapter 310. Once again, Lu Fang sent away the villagers who came to ask questions. She pulled Chu Xiang into the house and asked quietly, Xiang, tell me the truth. Do you really like Huo Wenkai? You have to think carefully. He's the descendant of a landlord. His family is still working on the farm. If you get together with him, people will look down on you in the future. Chu Xiang held her hand and smiled. Mom, we all live in the same brigade and rely on the farm to make a living. Whoever can do the work will have a good life. Who will look down on who? Li Hongjun is a third-generation poor farmer. But what about his character? He's more disgusting than Swill. Lu Fang hesitated. There are also people with good character and good family background. I know. Chu Xiang leaned on the table and held her chin. But I don't like any of them. I only like Huo Wenkai. Mom, think about it. Huo Wenkai is the son of a landlord. There's something good about him. He grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's well-educated, knowledgeable, opinionated, and responsible. He's been in our brigade for more than a year. Mom, look at him. Isn't he better than all the other men? Lu Fang thought about it again and again. She really couldn't think of anyone better than Huo Wenkai. Although she doted on her son, even her son couldn't compare to Huo Wenkai. After all, her son couldn't experience the growth brought about by his experience, culture, and environment. Huo Wenkai won in this aspect alone. It was no wonder Chu Xiang liked him. Lu Fang nodded and patted her leg. She stood up and said, Okay, if you've thought it through, I'll go talk to someone else and leak the news. Since the two of you are dating, don't let anyone else get involved. You have to be prepared. If anyone says anything bad about you in the future, don't feel bad. Don't worry, your daughter is strong. Chu Xiang's smiling face made Lu Fang laugh. She thought about it carefully. If the family background was bad, so be it. They weren't going to be officials, so it wouldn't affect them much. For example, Chu Dongxing often slacked off and went to town to steal good things. Didn't outsiders think that he wasn't good? In fact, they didn't know how good their lives were, but that was enough. In this era, eating well and wearing well was the most important thing. After getting past Lu Fang, Huo Wenkai was considered to have passed the open road. The villagers were all surprised. Although they had seen it before, Lu Fang and Chu Dongxing doted on Chu Xiang so much. They thought that Chu Xiang's boyfriend should be from a big family and rich family. Huo Wenkai's family members were all in the labor camp, and all the work points Huo Wenkai earned were sent to his family. Lu Fang and the others were dumbfounded. Many girls came to ask Chu Xiang what she thought. In their opinion, Huo Wenkai was not a good choice at all. Chu Xiang casually said to them, There used to be a saying, when you marry another man, you have to wear clothes and eat meals. It means that when a woman marries, she must choose a good husband in order to eat her fill and wear warm clothes. But look at the aunties, aunts, and even grannies in our brigade. Which one of them is idle at home? They work in the fields, wash clothes, cook rice, plant vegetables, feed the chickens, and take care of the children. They can do everything. They can eat their fill and wear warm clothes on their own. The girls didn't understand. What about Huo Wenkai? What are you doing? Do you mean that she doesn't have to marry another man? Chu Xiang smiled. What I mean is, since I can eat my fill and wear warm clothes on my own, I don't have to consider the conditions when I find a partner. I only need to consider whether I like him or not. If I like Huo Wenkai, I'll be with him. What does it have to do with other conditions? It won't affect my good life. Don't worry, she said in a way that they could accept. Our big shots have all said that women can take up half of the work. Men and women are equal. Don't you think it's wrong? When a man marries a wife, he usually considers whether he likes her or not. When a woman marries a man, it's the same, right? The girls were a little confused. They thought about it and felt that it seemed to be right. If this method was wrong, wouldn't it mean that the big shot was wrong? Chu Xiang called out to them. Don't think about it. Come with me to dig herbs. I won't let you work for nothing. Let's go. The girls were happy. They threw the things that they couldn't figure out to the back of their minds. They took the tools and went to the mountain with Chu Xiang. It wasn't the first time that they helped Chu Xiang dig herbs. Every time, Chu Xiang would give them some money or some delicious food that she made herself. These were things that they couldn't get anywhere else. Now they had learned what to pay attention to when digging herbs. They were very skilled. Chu Xiang completely showed the true colors of a delicate girl. Even when digging herbs, she commanded others with her mouth. However, because most of the time, she gave some delicious food or a piece of cloth. It wasn't considered employment, so no one said anything. These girls and their families who received benefits all said good things about Chu Xiang. Therefore, Chu Xiang didn't suffer much and did a lot of things. When Yao Shui found out, she scolded Chu Xiang behind her back, because she didn't have such a good life. She wanted to be like Chu Dongxing in her previous life, and secretly go into the mountains to pick up wood ears and mushrooms to sell. But now she couldn't do it freely. She didn't do it well. Sometimes she couldn't sell all of them and didn't make much money. She couldn't tell others that she was selling things to make money. Otherwise, her sister-in-law and second sister-in-law would definitely target her. The result of her concealment was that the entire family despised her for slacking off and idling around. The title of gluttonous and lazy that she had given Chu Xiang back then was firmly pinned on her head. She thought that she didn't care. After all, Chu Dongxing secretly sold things and was not diligent. But when it was her turn, she realized that everyone's attitude towards men and women was completely different. At most, Chu Dongxing was scolded a little, but she was despised. The most difficult thing was that she had to go into the mountains to pick up the goods. She had to carry the long dirt road to town. She was so tired that her skin was rough. She also had to endure Li Hongjuan's harassment from time to time, and had an affair with him. She didn't have a good life. Why did Chu Xiang have such a good life? The resentment of 2 lifetimes added together made Yao Shui especially concerned about Chu Xiang. Now, she just wanted to see Chu Xiang make a fool of herself. Whether it was Chu Xiang's improvement of the crops or the herbs that she grew at home, as long as there was a problem, Chu Xiang would be criticized by everyone. And Chu Xiang's wine, if it failed, it would be a waste of food. Even Chu Xiang's boyfriend, Huo Wenkai, was a person with no future. Yao Shui felt that it was easy to see Chu Xiang make a fool of herself. She was especially looking forward to it. Her motivation seemed to come from Chu Xiang. In the end, she heard that the crops improved according to Chu Xiang's suggestions were growing better and better. They were more productive than others and attracted the attention of many farming experts. Finally, it was the autumn harvest. A large field that had been improved by Chu Xiang had a great harvest. The grain yield was twice as high as that of ordinary fields. This result was too scary. At least, it was too scary for the people in the commune. Double the grain output. How great of a benefit would this bring to the people? This result was immediately reported to the higher-ups. Soon, it gained the attention of the higher-ups. Especially since Mr. Yuan had already made great achievements in rice research, Chu Xiang's improvement of the crops was naturally highly valued. Not long after, a special team from Beijing came to understand the situation. The villagers were proud and excited. This was Chu Xiang's glory. It was also the glory of the entire Dawn Brigade. In fact, the main reason why Chu Xiang could increase the grain yield was that she had grown the grain like spiritual plants. She had cultivated for 10,000 years in the cultivation world, and had grown countless spiritual plants. She also had countless cultivation methods. After observing the various plants in the field, she improved them according to their characteristics. She relied on her experience and knowledge accumulated over the years. It just so happened that the grain yield in this era was still very low. She was able to easily double the yield. It would be impossible to make such a significant improvement in the future. However, others did not know this. They only knew that she was a girl who was about to turn 19. She was the top student in school, doubled the yield of the crops, and knew how to concoct medicine after reading medical books. She was definitely a talent that the country needed. Chu Xiang did not hide anything and taught the special research team her research methods. She let them observe and record in the fields, and even gave them a few bags of the things she had grown. The research team also specially took a look at her medicine field. The villagers enthusiastically praised her, and they learned a lot about Chu Xiang. For example, the medicinal herbs that Chu Xiang grew were very effective. When the villagers suffered from common colds, fevers, diarrhea, and external injuries, they would be cured after taking Chu Xiang's medicine. The leader of the research team wanted to take Chu Xiang to Beijing, but Chu Xiang refused. She was very comfortable at home. She did not have to do anything. She only had to study and study farming that interested her. How comfortable was that? She was not willing to go to the research institute. The research team had no choice but to take Chu Xiang's research results back. In order to thank Chu Xiang for her selfless sharing, the higher-ups specially published Chu Xiang's photo in the newspaper and praised her. The villagers felt that it was foolish for Chu Xiang to stay in the village. However, this did not affect them from being proud of Chu Xiang. Now the people of the Dawn Brigade walked outside with their heads held high and their chests puffed out. They were especially proud. When they mentioned Chu Xiang, they had endless praises. They could not suppress the smiles on their faces and were in the limelight. Yao Shui was dumbfounded. What was going on? After her rebirth, she was only doing slightly better than in her previous life. How did Chu Xiang become so powerful? She was filled with regret. Why did she plot against Chu Xiang? If it wasn't for her ruining Chu Xiang's chance to become a teacher, why would Chu Xiang learn farm work and farm? She wanted to harm Chu Xiang, but in the end, she had praised her. She was so angry that she could not sleep. After that, when it came to farming, the villagers were very willing to listen to Chu Xiang's suggestions. Even the team leader let Chu Xiang make the decision. When the team had a meeting, they would call Chu Xiang for her opinion. Of course, Chu Xiang did not stand on ceremony. She directly suggested that they open up a large piece of land that she had her eyes on and concentrate on planting medicinal herbs. The reason she gave was very good. The land and climate here were very suitable for planting medicinal herbs. If they were planted and provided to the country, they would be doing something beneficial for the country. This was a contribution. When the report reached the mayor, of course it was approved. This would be his political achievement. Chu Xiang had already put her name on the list. She was not afraid of failing the experiment. If she succeeded, it would be an honor. Therefore, the villagers had a lot to do after the autumn harvest. The men opened up the land while the women learned from Chu Xiang how to dig and plant medicinal herbs. The few girls who used to follow Chu Xiang were appointed as teachers to be in charge of teaching everyone. When they were teaching, they suddenly understood Chu Xiang's words. They really seemed to be able to live well on their own. Chapter 311. The villagers all had a strong sense of honor. Once they started working on the herbal field, they quickly harvested and fertilized it. Many of the herbs from the mountains were transplanted into the herbal field. Chu Xiang called a group of women and young ladies and taught them how to take care of the medicinal herbs. Under the encouragement of everyone's sense of honor, the results were very gratifying. The survival rate had reached 80%, and there was almost no loss. Everyone knew that Chu Xiang was someone who had been mentioned by the leaders. They all wanted Chu Xiang, or the brigade, to be in the limelight again. This way, it would be much easier to apply for the brigade's approval from the county in the future. The brigade leader was the one who felt it the most. Ever since Chu Xiang was mentioned in the newspaper and praised, everyone treated him very warmly when he went to the county for a meeting. Their attitude was much more polite. After all, in a remote village like theirs, there hadn't been such a promising person in decades. As a result, Chu Xiang's life in the brigade naturally became better. The villagers often asked her if there were any other characteristics in the brigade that the country would value. Chu Xiang was not modest at all. She always looked at it with a smile. The mountains were good, the water was good, the land was good, and there were treasures everywhere. She would tell everyone when she found something good. Originally, everyone was just casually asking, but after hearing her words, they all felt hopeful. Especially when Chu Xiang was free, she would look at the river, the fish, the mountain products, and the fruit trees. This made everyone look forward to it. They were waiting for Chu Xiang to amaze everyone and let their brigade shine again. Chu Xiang was not blind. This place was indeed good, but the villagers did not understand. When Huo Wenkai accompanied her to the mountains to look at the fruit trees, she asked Huo Wenkai, "What do you think of the fruits here compared to the ones in the capital?" Huo Wenkai said seriously, "I have eaten a lot of good food in the past. Most of the fruits here are especially delicious, especially the watermelons and pears. They are especially sweet." Chu Xiang plucked a pear and played with it in her hand. "Pluck 2 more to make something delicious when we go back." Of course, Huo Wenkai would not let Chu Xiang do this kind of thing. He quickly plucked the pear and said, "You have contributed enough to the brigade. Don't tire yourself out." Chu Xiang raised her eyebrows and leaned close to him to ask, "Do you feel sorry for me? Comrade Hua, your mindset is very dangerous. You should do your best to contribute to the country. How can you be lazy?" Huo Wenkai couldn't help but pinch her face and chuckle. "Why haven't I noticed that you're working hard? I only saw you using your mouth to order me around. The sun is scorching, and I was afraid that you would feel uncomfortable coming out. Autumn is so hot, and you're already tanned. I'm not as dark as you. This is called health." Chu Xiang touched her own face and rudely rubbed his face. "Okay, I got it. Let's go. I'll make something delicious, and send it to your family when you send something tomorrow." Huo Wenkai's heart warmed. He grabbed Chu Xiang's hand and shook it. It was nothing but the corner of his mouth raised. What Chu Xiang made was rock sugar snow pear. This thing was very ordinary, but it was really delicious when it was cooked. In this era, eating a piece of candy and drinking a syrup was a good thing. Eating a bowl of pear with rock sugar like this was definitely the ultimate enjoyment. Lu Fang couldn't bear to eat it. She cherished it very much. Chu Xiang hugged her and smiled. "Mom, if you like to eat it, you can eat it. We'll use work points to exchange for more pears. It's very easy to make. Okay, our family Xiang is filial. Mom really didn't expect that I would be able to enjoy so much before retirement." Lu Fang smiled and squinted her eyes. Eating the rock sugar snow pear made by her daughter, she felt as if she had eaten an elixir. Chu Xiang had never been stingy with showing kindness to people who were good to her. With a few words, she coaxed her mother and brother into smiling. Huo Wenkai looked at her from the side. He kept smiling, and his eyes were full of unconcealed affection. Chu Xiang made a pot of rock sugar snow pear for him. She added some special herbs to play an antiseptic role, so that the rock sugar snow pear could be kept fresh for a few days. Then she filled 3 cans with canned food, sealed it and handed it to Huo Wenkai. "Hurry up and send it out. Remember to wrap it well and don't break it." Huo Wenkai looked outside. When no one was around, he quickly kissed her on the face. When he ran out of the door, he was still smiling. "Yes, wife." Huo Wenkai happily went to town to send things to his family. He felt very at ease, as if he had taken root here. Along the way, he couldn't suppress the corners of his mouth. In the past, he had always been scolded as a landlord's son. He was worried about his family and didn't want to interact with others. He always looked expressionless and cold. Now he went to the Chu family whenever he was free. He was often happy. The villagers were very surprised to see him. He was in high spirits when he was happy. Chu Xiang specially sent the heaven and earth mirror to check the farm after he sent the package. 2 days later, the package was delivered. When it was checked, one person wanted to hide the food but was stopped by another person. The situation had changed recently. The heart was above everything else. They could not be greedy for such benefits. Chu Xiang guessed that many of the things that Huo Wenkai sent in the past had been hidden. Otherwise, with Huo Wenkai's attitude of sending things every month while working 2 jobs, His family should be living well. They wouldn't be as skinny and weak as they were now. In this era, landlords and people who were sent to reform through labor were very unfriendly. However, the situation had improved recently. People didn't maliciously treat people with so-called bad character. The crackdown was also stricter. No matter where they were working, they started to do things conscientiously. This time, the things were sent to the Hua family in one piece. The Hua family was a bit calm in the face of change. When they received the things, they asked if they could write a letter. After getting permission, they immediately wrote a thick letter and sent it out. They cherished the things that Hua Wenkai sent. Grandma Hua cried for a while. Her heart ached. Kai sent so many things to us. How can he have anything left? This child has suffered. Grandfather Hua smiled. The little brat has grown up. Being filial to us means that he is capable and living a good life. If it were someone else, they might not even be able to eat their fill. Don't cry. Take good care of yourself. You will be reunited one day. Okay, I won't cry. Grandma Hua wiped her tears. She opened the pear with rock sugar and took a bite. She smiled again. This is made by my granddaughter-in-law. It's so sweet. Kai has really grown up. He even found himself a wife. Judging from the words in his letter, he definitely likes this daughter-in-law very much. Chu Xiang smiled. She rested her chin on her hand and continued reading while eating the fruit. Only the two elders and Hua Wenkai's father were left in the Hua family. The three of them had good personalities. It seemed that they would be easy to get along with in the future. Grandma Hua regretted that the family heirloom wasn't with her. She didn't know if she would have the chance to pass it to her granddaughter-in-law. It seemed that this family wasn't very honest. They must have hidden something good somewhere. Chu Xiang saw that they cherished the pear with rock sugar so much. Their words were full of concern for Hua Wenkai and curiosity about her. She was relieved and recalled the heaven and earth mirror. Soon, Hua Wenkai received a reply. This was the first time he had received a reply. He was very excited. Seeing that the three of them were fine, Hua Wenkai breathed a sigh of relief. He wasn't afraid of anything else. He was just afraid that they wouldn't be able to hold on and would pass away like his great-grandfather and mother. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to take care of his children, but his parents wouldn't be around. It would definitely be the cruelest pain. Now that he knew that they were all alive and not sick, he felt more at ease and relaxed. He became more motivated to work and wanted to exchange more good things to send over. Someone said sourly in front of Chu Xiang. Hua Wenkai should be thanking the gods if he can be your partner. Why is he still thinking about his family and using his work points to exchange for things to send out? Chu Xiang, you have to be more careful. Don't give him your family's things. Maybe he wants to be your partner because of this. Chu Xiang smiled. We're not married yet. His things aren't mine. I can't control how he deals with them, right? Besides, his family is suffering on the farm. If he doesn't take care of them, I won't like his character. I'm good to my mother and brother, and he's good to his family. There's nothing wrong with that. The sour-mouthed girl was stunned. Chu Xiang said, even if I give my things to his family in the future, it's not a problem. I'm capable enough. It's not like I can't support his family, right? The girl casually found an excuse and left. What could she do? Chu Xiang was stupid. Didn't she know that she had to pay for things to her family? However, anyone with eyes could see how well Hua Wenkai treated Chu Xiang. It was as if he was holding her from the bottom of his heart. Besides, Hua Wenkai gave Chu Xiang fruits, goat's milk, and vanishing cream. Even if her boyfriend's family was well off, he didn't treat her as well as Hua Wenkai treated Chu Xiang. What qualifications did she have? However, she still whispered a few words to others and told them that Chu Xiang was capable enough to support her boyfriend's family. Many people felt that there was something wrong with Chu Xiang's head. She was just a young lady. Was she trying to get married or what? Wasn't it stupid to use her own money to support others? She should ask her boyfriend's family for things. The girls who often stayed with Chu Xiang subconsciously retorted. If she was capable, why should she ask others for things? Was it necessary? Besides, if she could support her family well, as long as her boyfriend could make her happy, so what if he gave her money? They didn't think about it carefully when they were doing it, but they felt that they seemed to have changed. Even their family members found that their thoughts were different from the others. However, under the slogan that women could shoulder half of the burden, no one thought that there was something wrong with them. On the contrary, more and more girls felt that Chu Xiang was right, and were willing to follow Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang quietly influenced the thoughts of the whole village, but it was not obvious for the time being, and no one paid special attention to it. After autumn and winter, it was the new year in the blink of an eye. With Chu Xiang, Chu Dongsheng, and Huo Wenkai secretly selling things, the Chu family had a good new year. They ate, drank, and wore good clothes. They were more sumptuous than other families, but they hid it in the house and didn't let anyone see it. Yao Shui was increasingly disliked in the Yao family. She didn't let anyone know that she had earned money and didn't give any benefits. The Yao family became more and more impatient with her, a girl with a bad reputation after divorce, and gave her a hard time. She looked at the 1977 sign and set another path for herself. The college entrance examination was reinstated, and she could go to a university in Beijing. This was definitely the best opportunity to go to a big city. In a place like this, there hadn't been a single college student for 10 or 20 years. If she could enter a university, no matter how bad her reputation was before, it could be cleared once and for all. At that time, she could become the pride of her hometown as long as she gave out a little money. Although her studies were very bad and she read textbooks like reading books, she still started to study. She also thought of a new way to make money. She secretly bought all the textbooks she could find and hid them. Chapter 312. Of course, Chu Xiang knew that the college entrance examination was about to resume. The original owner of the body loved to study and had a complete set of textbooks and study materials at home. She had already read them and summarized the knowledge of this era. She even took the time to compile a revision guide. It was filled with the key points of each subject and the questions she had guessed. Usually when Chu Dongsheng was free, she would ask Huo Wenkai to tutor Chu Dongsheng. She would use her revision guide to break it down and teach it to Chu Dongsheng. Chu Dongsheng was not willing to do that. He liked to do business since he was young. He was not interested in studying. Chu Xiang smiled and said, "Brother, you only know how to do simple accounting now. What if you have the opportunity to do big business in the future? How can you be uneducated? You're being cheated and you're still counting the money." Chu Dongsheng was not convinced. What big business? That's speculation and profiteering. It's a crime. At most, I'm just doing guerrilla warfare and selling things to make some money. I don't need to be educated. I'm not illiterate. I studied until the first year of high school and learned everything. Now, I'm not allowed to go to college. Why should I study this? Chu Xiang whispered, "That's not right. Didn't a research team come to me in Beijing last time? I heard from them that a lot of things are going to change, including going to college and doing business. Don't be limited by this small matter. There's no harm in learning more. Will you listen to me or not?" For a Siscon, Chu Xiang's last sentence was more effective than anything else. Chu Dongsheng immediately compromised. Okay. I'll study hard, okay? Chu Dongsheng was smart. He did not like to study, but it was not because he could not learn. Moreover, he had a good foundation. With Huo Wenkai teaching him, he learned very well. After half a year, he had already memorized Chu Xiang's revision guide and integrated the knowledge in it. Huo Wenkai, who was in charge of teaching him, naturally understood it more thoroughly. Both of them had a stable revision. However, this was done secretly. Chu Xiang did not tell outsiders. Even Lu Feng did not know. She only thought that Chu Xiang was urging Chu Dongsheng to improve. Anyway, no matter what, she was happy to see that her son and daughter were fine. In the past 6 months, the crops in the fields had grown again. They had used Chu Xiang's newly revised farming method. Many details had been strictly observed, so the crops were growing very well. There were people from the nearby brigade who came to visit their relatives. When they saw the scene in the field, they were all very surprised. There were even people who came specially to see something new. Although Chu Xiang had shared her farming method with the research team last year, it would take some time for the higher-ups to conduct experiments and popularize it. Therefore, the nearby villages only came to learn about it, but they didn't learn it well enough. Naturally, they weren't as good as Chu Xiang's method, which was modified based on the actual situation in her own brigade. The Dawn Brigade's crops grew the best in the province. After hearing this, the research team in the capital specially came to observe and record the data. They praised Chu Xiang for her wonderful modification and wanted to submit her modification to the research institute. This made the villagers even more convinced of Chu Xiang. At the same time, the medicinal herbs that Chu Xiang led in the brigade were also transported through the county to the capital, High City, and other first-tier cities in exchange for a lot of food. This made the Dawn Brigade famous again in the surrounding villages. Even Chu Xiang became famous. The villagers were more and more enthusiastic about her. They treated her like a big shot. Food was the root of the villagers. They didn't understand politics or the situation. They were grateful to whoever could fill their stomachs. Chu Xiang led the brigade to exchange for food, and the grain in the fields also doubled. Chu Xiang was the person they were most grateful to. Now they couldn't even eat the eggs that the villagers sent home from time to time. Everyone's enthusiasm made Lu Fang smile from ear to ear. She was extremely proud. Everyone said that their daughter was lucky. When she grew up, she would benefit the family. When she grew up, she would contribute to the motherland. Of course, Chu Xiang didn't have nothing to do to benefit society. She was just paving the way for the future. In the past 2 years, the country's situation had gradually improved, but in the end, the policy was not relaxed. She couldn't have her own career, and the political situation was a bit messy. It was troublesome. She might as well use her own way to become famous. There were talents in this world. Who could say that a village girl like her couldn't be a talent? In this era, people like to set up models and role models. Then, why couldn't a simple talent like her become famous by contributing to the motherland? Now that she was famous, no matter what she wanted to do in the future, her path would be much easier. In September, the educated youths in the brigade received the news of the college entrance examination. No matter if they were married or not, their minds were wandering, and they couldn't work in peace. Even the families of the educated youths were restless. They were afraid that if the college entrance examination was really reinstated, the educated youths and their families would never return. At this time, Yao Shui spread the news. In the past, because she liked to study, she collected a lot of textbooks and review materials. She didn't have anything else. When the news of the college entrance examination was announced, everyone found that they couldn't find the textbooks anywhere. There wasn't even a waste station. This highlighted her preciousness. Or it was the preciousness of the textbooks in her hands. It had been 10 years since the college entrance examination was cancelled. Most of the educated youths had abandoned their studies and forgotten their previous knowledge. At this time, of course, it was necessary to get the textbooks. In less than 2 months, the college entrance examination would be held. The educated youths dreamed of returning to the city. They racked their brains to snatch the textbooks from Yao Shui's hands. Yao Shui didn't say it clearly, but she did raise the price. It was a bit like she was asking them to bid. She wanted this and that, and she promised that to someone. She contacted everyone in private. She also told them not to spread the news and not to harm her. In the end, she earned a lot of money with the 20 or so books in her hands. It was more than 1,000 yuan. In a village like theirs, this was definitely a huge sum of money. Although many people despised her for doing this, they were not bad people. No one reported her, and no one was willing to testify against her. They just ostracized her more and more. Yao Shui couldn't be bothered with them. In her eyes, they were a group of country bumpkins. Who would be willing to interact with them? It was a pity that she was still not good at studying. After working hard for half a year, there was still a lot of knowledge that she didn't understand. If it weren't for the fact that speculators were getting more and more lax in the office, she was afraid that she wouldn't have been able to bear the hardships of the past 2 years. If she went to the county to sell things now, it would be the same as when she set up a stall in the future. As long as the urban management didn't investigate, she could sell things in one place for a long time. Now, even if they found out, selling these things wouldn't be considered speculators. At most, they would just confiscate the things. As long as she didn't resell a large number of goods from other places, it wouldn't be a big deal. Therefore, Yao Shui put her attention on the mountain products again. This was because there were many good mountain products here, and they had high nutritional value. She remembered that in her previous life, Chu Dongxing started his business with mountain products. After he had the capital, he went into real estate, and his assets increased by hundreds or thousands of times. She didn't know how other people started their business, but she still knew a lot about what Chu Dongxing did and who he knew. She planned to follow Chu Dongxing's path. She was especially worried that Chu Dongxing would resell mountain products and steal her business. However, Yao Shui had been paying attention to Chu Dongxing for a long time. She sneered in her heart. In her previous life, Chu Dongxing secretly resold mountain products. It seemed inconspicuous, but in fact he sold them in the black market and made a lot of money. However, in this life, because Chu Xiang was on the news about her research on farming, Chu Dongxing didn't go into the mountains again. When he was free, he would stay at home. She didn't know if he was helping Chu Xiang dry the medicinal herbs, or helping Chu Xiang brew wine, and make snacks. What a good-for-nothing. Previously, Yao Shui was annoyed because she changed Chu Xiang's fate. She thought that she had inadvertently helped Chu Xiang. Now she was happy. Chu Xiang changed Chu Dongxing's fate, and caused him to miss the opportunity to make a fortune. She really deserved it. She thought about how she would be rich in the future, while they would be farming in the countryside. She would wake up laughing at night. Even if Chu Xiang could be admitted to university. In fact, many college students in this era were still working for the bosses of ordinary culture after graduation. She wanted to be such a boss. In the future, she would keep young men as her mistress and flaunt her wealth in front of everyone. However, she didn't have any young men yet. She only had Li Hongjun. After Li Hongjun was found to have seduced a married woman, no good family was willing to marry their daughter to him. He didn't like those who were not good enough either. Just like that, the marriage was delayed. However, he had his eyes on Yao Shui and didn't let go. He insisted that Yao Shui was the one who harmed him. From time to time, he would secretly fool around with Yao Shui. At first, Yao Shui was afraid of being beaten. Later, she felt that Li Hongjun was young and strong. Anyway, she had thought it through and decided to raise young men for herself in the future. She didn't plan to marry anyone at all. There was nothing wrong with hanging out with Li Hongjun in private. Occasionally, when she was happy, she would give Li Hongjun something. This time, when the college entrance examination was resumed, Li Hongjun got a full set of revision materials from Yao Shui. When he returned to the educated youth school, he felt very superior. After all, other people only had one textbook. But soon, his sense of superiority disappeared because Chu Xiang selflessly shared her revision guide. Chu Xiang had just graduated from high school a year ago. She was the first in all her exams. She was so good at farming and handling medicinal materials. She was simply a genius. Her revision materials were more popular than the materials of the school teachers, especially the people in the Dawn Brigade. They had a good impression of Chu Xiang. Even the educated youths were proud of learning from Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang wasn't really selfless. She didn't lend her materials to outsiders. She let the educated youths and students that she liked to revise with her at home. As for the people she didn't like, such as Li Hongjun, she directly said that she didn't welcome them. If Li Hongjun insisted on entering her house and used some selfish reasons, Chu Xiang directly took the materials and had a headache. She couldn't study today and told everyone to disperse. What else could Li Hongjun pick on her? No one said that she had to share her materials. So for the sake of studying, everyone directly excluded the people that Chu Xiang didn't like. If anyone wanted to find trouble with Chu Xiang, they would be the first to disagree. Moreover, the whole brigade was on Chu Xiang's side. No one was willing to gossip about Chu Xiang. When the college entrance examination came in December, Chu Xiang, Huo Wenkai, and Chu Dongxing were all admitted to a first-class university in Beijing. Among the dozen people who studied with her, 5 were admitted to a second-class university, and 6 were admitted to a junior college. Their Dawn Brigade had more than a dozen university students. Under the circumstances that only 3 of the 10 brigades nearby had university students, The Dawn Brigade's results were simply outstanding. It immediately attracted the attention of the Ministry of Education. With this investigation, Chu Xiang's name was once again highlighted. It was her revision materials and accurate judgment that helped everyone. She was a real talent, and no one doubted this point anymore. Chapter 3:13. Not only would they be able to study in the capital, but the school would also give them food rations and subsidies. This meant that they could earn money without doing any work. The villagers did not know about this in the past. Now that they heard about it, they were envious. They looked at Chu Xiang and the other university students in a different light. They kept praising them for being capable people. The benefits of being cultured and able to study took root in the hearts of the villagers. Many of the villagers who did not intend to let their children study changed their minds. They decided that even if they had to sell everything they had to support their children, they would be able to enjoy life easily if they studied well. Every university student was the pride of the Dawn Brigade. Chu Xiang was the treasure of the villagers. Everyone could not bear for her to leave her hometown. Whenever they were free, they would come to the Chu family to chat with Chu Xiang and take a closer look at the university students. As they chatted, they mentioned Yao Shui. Yao Shui was lazy and gluttonous. After the divorce, she did not look haggard. Instead, she looked much fatter. Such a wicked person should not have a good ending. She wanted to use the opportunity of resuming the college entrance examinations to make a fortune. She was really shameless. In this era where sharing and giving were valued, people like Yao Shui were indeed looked down upon. Chu Xiang was shocked when she heard that Yao Shui had gained weight. After Yao Shui was reborn, she paid special attention to her appearance. She even took pride in being fair and skinny. She even slimmed down her clothes to accentuate her waist. How fat was Yao Shui to be able to tell at a glance that she had gained quite a bit of weight? She also remembered that Yao Shui seemed to be quite tired from selling mountain goods. Could it be that business was so good now? Chu Xiang was curious. She let the heaven and earth mirror walk around Yao Shui's room. Who knew that she would see Yao Shui anxiously walking around the room with a conflicted expression? Chu Xiang looked carefully at Yao Shui's face. She already had a child. Yao Shui was pregnant. She calculated Yao Shui's fate and realized that the child was Li Hongjuan's. She was speechless. What did this mean? Yao Shui was reborn and was bound to her husband in her previous life? So what did she change after she was reborn? Was it just to earn pocket money? Business wasn't something that anyone could do. There were plenty of people who were willing to commit suicide due to their losses. Yao Shui might not be able to succeed. However, the two of them had a rotten pot and a rotten lid. Neither of them was good. It was better for them to stay together and not harm others. Chu Xiang saw Yao Shui hammering her belly twice, as if she had made up her mind not to have this child. This was normal. Anyone with a brain wouldn't have left this child to be entangled with Li Hongjun. However, anyone with a brain wouldn't have conceived this child at all. Chu Xiang decided to be a good citizen and used her left hand to write an anonymous letter to report Yao Shui. Yao Shui monopolized all the textbooks and revision materials in the county and sold them to the examinees at a high price. She took advantage of the country's urgent need to recruit talents to make a huge profit. This was an unforgivable act. Previously, no one had reported Yao Shui. However, after the college entrance exam ended, many of the examinees who had failed the exam felt extremely aggrieved. This was especially so for the examinees who had bought their textbooks back at a high price. They had paid so much but didn't get anything in the end. Naturally, they would feel indignant. There were also a few educated youths who didn't have the means to return to the city. They wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to go to university and return to the city. In the end, they didn't even manage to gather enough textbooks. Now it was all Yao Shui's fault. They blamed Yao Shui for raising the price and buying all the textbooks, cutting off their path. Amidst these complaints, the county's investigation naturally came to a conclusion very quickly. Under the testimony of a few people, Yao Shui had maliciously purchased the textbooks to make a profit. This was akin to taking advantage of the benefits of socialism. This was a very improper way of thinking and had to be severely punished. Yao Shui was taken away and locked up. She was terrified. Even if she had led a bad life in her previous life, she had never been arrested before. She anxiously cried out for justice and pleaded for mercy. However, it was useless. This kind of behavior was too vile, especially when the higher-ups had clearly stated that they wanted to nurture talents. Committing such a mistake could be treated as a typical punishment. Yao Shui quickly thought of a solution. She directly revealed that she was pregnant. This way, the treatment for pregnant women would be different. Furthermore, Yao Shui tearfully complained about how miserable her life in the Yao family was. She was terrified when she was pregnant. In order to raise the child, she took the risk and sold a few sets of textbooks. She didn't earn much money and everything was for the sake of the child. Seeing that Yao Shui's attitude was good, and she even found a good excuse for herself, the relevant departments released Yao Shui. However, she was registered in the public security system. In the future, she would have a criminal record. If she committed another crime, she would be punished for 2 crimes. They even criticized her in the county and asked her who the father of the child was. They wanted to give her a chance to get married immediately. Otherwise, she would be charged as a hooligan and would be sentenced after she gave birth to the child. Yao Shui was even more afraid. She remembered that there would be a crackdown at this time. She didn't dare to take the risk and could only expose Li Hongjun. Li Hongjun had been hiding in the Educated Youth Center. He didn't want to see anyone if he could. He was afraid that others would recall the incident in the forest with Yao Shui. He felt that his actions were still considered secretive. He felt that as long as Yao Shui didn't expose him, no one would know that he was the father of the child. However, he never expected that Yao Shui would expose him. Li Hongjun was so angry that he scolded Yao Shui the moment he saw her. "Just you wait. You can't get into university and you want to scheme against me. Do you think that my family will definitely bring you along when I return to the city? Dream on." "Shut up. Who are you threatening? You have guts. Do what you have to do. Hurry up." The people who were escorting Yao Shui back to the village scolded him impatiently. They wanted him to get married quickly. Otherwise, he would be charged as a hooligan. Yao Shui escaped because she was pregnant. Of course, she couldn't abort the child. Not only could she not abort the child, but she also had to protect it well and marry Li Hongjun as soon as possible. The Yao family scolded Yao Shui because her whole family couldn't hold their heads high. The Yao brothers even beat Li Hongjun up and escorted him to get the marriage certificate with Yao Shui. Yao Shui knew that divorce would become a common thing in the future, so she wasn't worried. As long as she could get through the current crisis, she would get married. However, others didn't know that. When they saw that she was so calm, they thought that she really liked Li Hongjun. Now, everyone despised her even more. What was so good about Li Hongjun? He couldn't even get into university and had his eyes on the top of his head. Yao Shui was actually having a good time before marriage. This kind of behavior not only ruined the Yao family's reputation, but also the reputation of the Eternal Brigade. Yao Shui abandoned Chu Dongsheng and chose Li Hongjun. Was it really like what Li Hongjun said? Was it really to follow him back to the city? Not only did everyone think so, but Li Hongjun also thought so. In his opinion, Yao Shui had always been half-hearted. It was completely different from Chu Xiang's straightforward rejection. Didn't that mean that Yao Shui was deliberately trying to get close to him? Because of this, Li Hongjun gave Yao Shui a black face. After Yao Shui moved to the educated youth camp, he pushed the washing, cooking, and cleaning of the house to Yao Shui. He didn't do anything. The villagers of the Dawn Brigade were disgusted. It wasn't easy for Yao Shui to be sent back to the Eternal Brigade. Why did she marry back? In order to make Yao Shui leave quickly, the villagers even went to the brigade leader to ask him to allow Li Hongjun to bring his wife back to the city. They were really disgusted. When Yao Shui was pregnant, everyone's first thought was Chu Dongsheng. After all, he was officially married. But on second thought, the two of them had been divorced for a year. They had nothing to do with each other. In the end, they heard that Yao Shui's child was Li Hongjuan's. This adulterous couple had never broken up. They had been having an affair between the two villages. It was too disgusting. While everyone was repulsed by Yao Shui, for some reason, They liked Chu Xiang even more. Because Yao Shui had set a negative example for all the ladies, the elders were afraid that some of the ladies would follow Yao Shui's example and have evil thoughts. At this time, the girls following Chu Xiang stood out. Their way of thinking was different from other girls. They would never do such a thing even if they were beaten to death. Moreover, these ladies felt that they were much smarter than before. Someone went to ask Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang said that this was the benefit of being educated and knowledgeable. If there was a chance, not only would she let them study more, but she would also let them go out more often. The ladies unexpectedly gained a lot of freedom. Naturally, they were even more grateful to Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang's report letter made her even more popular in the village. She even sent those two annoying people to a pile. People often say that you reap what you sow. If Yao Shui had not caused the death of the original owner, Chu Xiang would not have dealt with her. If Yao Shui and Li Hongjun had not conspired to harm her, she would not have let them sleep together. If Yao Shui had not earned money through evil means, she would not have had the chance to report her. If they had not been entangled and had a child, she would not have tied them together. They were the ones who reaped what they sowed. All the money that Yao Shui had earned was confiscated and returned to the book buyer. Yao Shui's wallet was suddenly empty. She had gone for wool and come home shorn. Her reputation had also hit rock bottom, and there was no way for her to rise again. On the other hand, when Li Hongjun realized that she had been fined so much money, it was the first time he saw her ability to earn money. He treated her better, and started to look forward to her finding ways to earn money in the future. But what did Yao Shui know? She only knew how to earn enough money from selling mountain goods in her previous life. She only knew how to get to know the people Chu Dongxing knew in his previous life, and talk about collaborations. However, Chu Dongxing did not tell her how to talk in her previous life. She did not know how to talk, and the talks fell through. This kind of private matter could not be publicized, and she could not ask for help from others. If the talks fell through, she would completely miss the opportunity. She was so annoyed that she did not have the mood to deal with Li Hongjun. Moreover, she was pregnant now and could not work anymore. She could not go into the mountains to pick mountain goods, nor could she secretly sell them in the county. She had no source of income. In Li Hongjuan's eyes, she was hiding something. Before she married him, she had earned more than 1,000 yuan. Why did she not earn a single cent after marrying him? Was she guarding against him? The relationship between the two of them had just turned for the worse. Yao Shui moved into the Dawn Brigade again, and had another chance to observe Chu Dongxing. The most surprising thing in this life was not that Chu Xiang had made a name for herself in front of the leaders, but that he had actually been admitted to a university. In her previous life, he was just a big boss who had graduated from junior high school. How did he suddenly become a university student in this life? Could it be that Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai were so powerful? They could even teach Chu Dongxing, who did not like to study, to become a university student? Would Chu Dongxing still be able to earn big money in this life? Chu Dongxing did not seem to have any intention of doing business. What was she going to do? She did not understand how Chu Dongxing would make a fortune, let alone other people. It turned out that doing business was so difficult. She only knew one thing and could not replicate Chu Dongxing's success. She was so anxious, but Li Hongjun misunderstood that she still had feelings for Chu Dongxing. The two of them had just gotten married and started to quarrel. The beautiful life that Yao Shui had been looking forward to was completely ruined. Chapter 314. After the acceptance letter was issued, Chu Xiang and Chu Dongxing quickly arranged everything at home and convinced Lu Fang to go to Jing City with them. Lu Fang loved her children the most. As long as they needed someone to take care of them, she was willing to go without any persuasion. However, before going to Jing City, Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai submitted an application to visit the elders of the Hua family on the farm. Lu Fang used a few pieces of rabbit skin that Chu Xiang hunted to make knee pads and vests for the two elders of the Hua family. Chu Dongxing also went to the black market to buy a radio as a gift for the elders of the Hua family, to show that they were very satisfied with Hua Wenkai. Yao Shui was very excited when she heard that Chu Xiang was going to the farm. She remembered that in her previous life, Hua Wenkai went to the farm at this time, and the fire burned 3 members of the Hua family to death. Hua Wenkai also died in order to save them. Now that Chu Xiang was going to go with them, didn't that mean that Chu Xiang would also die in the fire? Yao Shui didn't know what she was thinking. She just wanted to see Chu Xiang suffer. Her marriage with Chu Dongsheng in both her lives was ruined by this sister-in-law. In her heart, this sister-in-law was the worst person in the world, and she hated her the most. If there was a forum now, she could go online for 3 days and 3 nights and let the whole world see how terrible Chu Xiang was. She could let all the netizens curse her. Unfortunately, there were no keyboard warriors now, and all the villagers believed that Chu Xiang didn't believe her. She had been sulking for a long time. After knowing that Chu Xiang was going to be burned to death, she felt refreshed, as if something happy had happened. At this time, Li Hongjuan's family's request for him to go back to the city was approved. They also allowed him to bring Yao Shui back with him. Yao Shui was so happy as if she was going back to the city. Li Hongjun despised her even more and felt more superior in front of her. Unbeknownst to them, Yao Shui's greatest wish was to slap the Li family's face. Since she had accidentally married into the Li family, she had to use her stomach to wreak havoc in the Li family. Otherwise, it would be a waste of her reincarnation. Feeling that her future was bright, Yao Shui happily packed her luggage and prepared to head to Beijing with Li Hongjun. When she bumped into Chu Xiang and the brigade, she was in a good mood and smiled at the latter with sympathy in her eyes. "You're going to meet your future in-laws? Have a safe journey. I hope that you and Hua Wenkai can be together forever and grow old together." Chu Xiang felt that her attitude was a little strange. She smiled and said, "Then I wish you and Li Hongjun will never leave each other. I wish you and the Li family will love each other." Yao Shui's smile froze as Chu Xiang walked past her. Yao Shui harumphed coldly. "Let's see if you can still be so smug when you get caught in the fire." Even though Chu Xiang was vastly different from the Chu Xiang in Yao Shui's memories of her previous life, and she was even praised as a genius, Yao Shui still felt superior to Chu Xiang. The blind confidence brought about by her reincarnation wasn't something that could be erased in a short period of time. Even though she was currently living an ordinary life, she had earned a lot of money by relying on her clairvoyance in the past, so she had a deep understanding of the future. Thus, she always looked down on others. She only felt that her sister-in-law, who was a university professor in her previous life, was a bookworm. She didn't think that Chu Xiang would be able to achieve anything in this life. Now that Chu Xiang was about to be burned to death, her disgust for Chu Xiang turned into excitement. She even hummed a song as she walked, causing the villagers who heard her to think that she was happy to be able to enter the city. A lady who betrayed her husband in order to enter the city, hooked up with an educated youth, and was caught in the act after getting divorced. She even secretly fooled around with someone for half a year and got pregnant before marriage. It was truly a great humiliation. They couldn't wait for her to leave and never come back. Chu Xiang used the heaven and earth mirror to observe Yao Shui. Seeing that she didn't do anything out of the ordinary, she threw her to the back of her mind. Regardless of the reason for Yao Shui's strange attitude, she didn't care. She was strong enough, so she didn't have to be afraid of any reincarnated person or transmigrator. When it was time to visit, Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai took the train to the farm. As soon as they arrived, their luggage was checked and they were searched. It took them a lot of effort to see their relatives. However, the situation was getting better and better. None of the things they brought were confiscated. When Hua Wenkai saw the Hua family, he rushed over and hugged them one by one. His eyes were red. "You've lost weight. You've suffered." It was Chu Xiang's first time seeing him so emotional. Grandma Hua hugged him and cried, "My good grandson. My good grandson. I thought I would never see you again in this life." Hua Jinyan wiped the corners of his eyes and said to Chu Xiang, "You're Chu, right? I'm sorry you had to see such a joke. Come in and sit." "Uncle, you're welcome. Wenkai always talks about you. We finally meet today," Chu Xiang said with a smile. She was the most generous and decent person of this era. Grandpa Hua turned his head and looked at her. He could tell at a glance that the girl didn't look like a girl from a farm. Instead, she looked like a girl from a wealthy family. He praised his grandson's taste in women. He patted Grandma Hua's arm. All right, it's a happy occasion to meet. Don't cry. Didn't you always talk about Chu? Hurry up and greet him. The landlord's family had strict rules. Even though a lot had changed, Grandma He was still better at greeting people. He Jinyan and He Jinyan didn't know what to do. Grandma He quickly wiped her tears and walked over to hold Chu Xiang's hand. She smiled and invited her into the house, talking to her intimately. He Wenkai formally introduced Chu Xiang to his family. He had already written a lot about Chu Xiang in his letters. The He family was already very familiar with Chu Xiang. The unfamiliarity of meeting her for the first time quickly disappeared. Grandma He also took out the wool hat, scarf and gloves that she secretly made for Chu Xiang from under the bed. She also took out the hard liquor that Grandpa He and Mr. He exchanged with others. She asked He Wenkai to bring it back for Chu Xiang. There was also a thin wool blanket for Lu Fang. Their life on the farm was very difficult. They had secretly collected so much wool and made it into finished products. It was obvious that they had put in a lot of effort. They were looking forward to Chu Xiang's arrival. Chu Xiang also returned the favor. She secretly felt their pulse and found the pills that were suitable for them from the space. She told them that they were nourishing and asked them to take them. Chu Xiang and Grandma He stayed in Mr. He's room that night. The three men of the He family stayed in Grandpa He's room. When the lights were about to go out, Chu Xiang suddenly noticed that Grandma He's face had changed. She looked like she was about to die. She wanted to take a closer look, but found that she couldn't see clearly. This meant that she had a lot to do with this. She casually found an excuse to see He Wenkai. When He Wenkai came out to open the door, she quickly glanced at Grandpa He and Mr. He's faces. Like Grandma He, they looked like they were about to die. This meant that they were all in trouble. Chu Xiang said to He Wenkai, "I don't know why, but my right eyelid is twitching. I feel very uneasy. I keep feeling that something is going to happen. Don't sleep too well tonight. Stay alert." He Wenkai agreed, and even held her hand. "Don't be afraid. I'll be right next door. Call me if you need anything. Dad, Grandpa, and I have a lot to talk about. I won't sleep to death. Don't worry." Chu Xiang nodded. He Wenkai said, "The car ride is too tiring. You should rest early. I'll go check inside and out and lock the door." "Okay. Be careful." Chu Xiang reminded him and went back to her room. Grandma He said happily, "I'm relieved to see that you and Kai are so close." She waited for Chu Xiang to lie down on the bed and held Chu Xiang's hand. "Back then, when our family was in trouble, the three of us were lucky to be living together. We were just worried about Kai. He used to live a good life and never suffered. He went to be an educated youth alone and was ostracized. We were worried that he wouldn't be able to make it. Fortunately, he was sensible and steady. Not only did he make it, but he also grew up better than we expected. It's just that the three of us became his burden. Sometimes when it was too hard to be sick, I just wanted to leave and not be a burden to my good grandson. But I know that he's filial and can survive no matter how hard it is. But if something happens to us, he won't be able to take it. I know that he's suffering, but then he started to talk about you in the letter. Seeing you, he became happy. Today, I saw that I liked you very much. No wonder Kai likes you so much. Xiang, you two have to live well. Now that the situation is good, we also heard some rumors. In the future, we won't be a burden to Kai anymore. Don't worry, we won't let you live a hard life in the future. You just have to be good with Kai and study hard together. You'll have a good life in the future." This was equivalent to hinting that the He family had something good for Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang naturally understood. She smiled and said to Grandma He, "Grandma, don't worry. We'll be fine. Once we have the chance, we'll take you out. You just have to take care of yourselves here. Take care of your health and be safe." Okay. You're both filial children. Grandma knows that. When you go to Beijing to study hard. Don't worry too much about us. We've already adapted to life here. Nothing will happen. The two of them chatted. Grandma He wanted to know more about her granddaughter-in-law. She also wanted to know more about her grandson's situation in the Dawn Brigade through Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't want to sleep. She chose to talk about interesting things in the brigade to talk about. Grandma Hua became more and more energetic. She was still awake at 2 in the morning. At this moment, the heaven and earth mirror, which was monitoring outside, suddenly warned, "Master, there's a fire. Someone deliberately set the fire and poured oil on it. Come out." Chu Xiang naturally got up and said, "Grandma, where's the toilet?" Grandma Hua quickly got up. "I'll take you there. There's no light at night, and it's very dark. It's easy to fall if you can't see the road. Put on an extra coat. It's cold outside." "Okay." Chu Xiang put on an extra coat for Grandma Hua, and held her hand as they went out. The two of them didn't see anything at the door, but when they went to the back of the house, they saw a fire. Chu Xiang shouted, "There's a fire. Grandma, wait here. I'll go call Wenkai." Before Grandma Hua could react, Chu Xiang had already run into the house and called for Hua Wenkai. The 3 generations of the Hua family came out very quickly. Chu Xiang went into the house to get some important things. Seeing this, Hua Wenkai immediately went back to get things. Because they moved quickly, the fire had just spread to the main house when they all ran out. The 3 men of the Hua family carried buckets of water to put out the fire. However, the fire was raging and couldn't be stopped. Many people ran over to help. Chu Xiang glanced at their expressions and asked quietly, "Jinger, which bastard set the fire?" Chapter 315. The heaven and earth mirror moved according to Chu Xiang's thoughts and immediately showed the arsonist. Chu Xiang immediately recognized that the arsonist was one of the workers who checked their luggage. He was a young man in his early 20s. She heard that he used to wear a red armband and went to smash other people's houses with his classmates. He was in the limelight for a while a few years ago. Chu Xiang did not have any good feelings towards this kind of people. There were also elegant devil cultivators and filthy devil cultivators among the devil cultivators. In her opinion, this kind of people did not have a clear mind and were extremely filthy. They were disgusting existences in this world. She stopped Hua Wenkai and suspected that someone had set the fire. She asked if the Hua family had any grudges with anyone. Of course, the Hua family didn't. They were defeated because they were landlords. It was very difficult for them to live peacefully in the past few years. They had always been hardworking and silently endured. However, there were many people who didn't like them. Just like how Li Hongjun always mocked Hua Wenkai. They were ridiculed, scolded, and looked down on by countless people here. They didn't pay much attention to it. Except for a few people who were kind to them, the others didn't like them. However, the 3 of them thought about it carefully, and mentioned a few people who were more malicious to them. Hua Wenkai directly took them to the person in charge here. The fire was put out by the locals. Hua Wenkai found the leader and forced him to give an explanation. Now was not the same as a few years ago. Back then many people had died because they deserved it. Now those radical ideas had been corrected. Landlords who didn't persecute Rao shouldn't be criticized. And the descendants of landlords shouldn't be punished. In this case, the leader couldn't ignore the Hua family's request. Hua Wenkai checked the house before he went to sleep. If he didn't find out the truth, Hua Wenkai would go to school in Beijing and report it. He wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. After such a thing happened, the faces of all the officials in the farm darkened. They gathered for an emergency meeting and gathered all the villagers. They asked them to identify and report each other. If anyone covered it up, they would be punished even more. Hua Wenkai's father listed a few people he suspected, and the scene immediately became chaotic. Many people accused the Hua family of being outsiders and having no evidence. Your farm is really eye-opening. People who come here to reform through labor and become educated youths are following the country's rules. They should also follow the country's rules on what kind of life they should enjoy. Why are you so emotional? Is this how you usually treat the Hua family? Don't tell me that you've turned the prisoners into your slaves. Our country doesn't allow exploitation. Captain, please explain why the Hua family is being treated unfairly here. Chu Xiang's cold voice was particularly clear in the noisy noise. A few of the officers looked over and the captain asked sharply, "What do you mean by that?" Chu Xiang pulled Grandma Hua forward and said loudly, Anyone with eyes can see that the Hua family is all skin and bones. Each one is more haggard than the other. What's wrong? Are they prisoners from your farm? Your attitude towards them is extremely bad, and now there are people who want to burn them to death. I have reason to suspect that you have been mistreating them. The reason why you set the fire today is to silence them and prevent them from telling the truth when they return to the capital. The captain shouted. Miss, don't accuse people with your glib tongue. It's illegal to accuse people. Huo Wenkai stood in front of Chu Xiang and said solemnly, This is reasonable suspicion. I will definitely report this matter to the relevant departments. If you didn't mistreat my family, I believe that the relevant departments will definitely clear your name. But for today's incident, we must find the arsonist. Chu Xiang glanced at the angry crowd and sneered. What are you angry about? Aren't you afraid that there is an arsonist hiding among you? Aren't you afraid that he will burn your house down if he is unhappy? Our family is reunited today, and we haven't slept at all. That's why we are so lucky to escape. If it were you, you wouldn't be so lucky. Everyone understood Chu Xiang's words, but they were very xenophobic. Even if they wanted to catch the arsonist, they didn't want outsiders to get involved. It was embarrassing. The Hua family was the son of a landlord. What right did they have to interfere with their business? The concept of class had always been there, and had never disappeared. Many people fantasized about turning over a new leaf. They were proud of being poor farmers, and despised the landlord's family from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if they could find a sense of superiority and feel that they were superior to others. Chu Xiang looked at their attitude and had a thought. She quietly said a few words to Huo Wenkai. The two of them cooperated tacitly and escalated the arson case to a certain level, forcing the brigade leader to conduct a strict and timely investigation. The Hua family was settled in an abandoned and empty house. This was Chu Xiang's request. They would rather live in a dilapidated house than live with the villagers here. They didn't trust anyone here at all. This matter was related to Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang couldn't see the relevant faces clearly, so she sent the heaven and earth mirror to monitor the arsonist. The arsonist was very panicked. If the people were burned to death, although the captain would investigate, he might not be so strict. If there was a delay, he might not be found. But now that the people were not dead and the arsonist had made this matter extremely serious, constantly urging the captain to investigate, it was very likely that he would be found. Even if he didn't kill them and didn't succeed, it would still be a big trouble. At dawn the next day, the arsonist found an excuse to go to the county. Chu Xiang saw through the heaven and earth mirror that he met with someone in the county. The person was on a business trip here from the capital. Chu Xiang casually found an excuse to buy things and took Huo Wenkai to the county. She used food and cloth coupons to buy things for the Hua family. She led Huo Wenkai to the place where the two men met, and happened to see him when the arsonist left. Huo Wenkai suspiciously pulled Chu Xiang. Isn't this the person who checked the luggage on the farm yesterday? Why is he so nervous? Chu Xiang looked at the alley. Is there a black market here? It doesn't look like he's doing things openly. Let's go and take a look. If there's a black market, we can buy some good things. Huo Wenkai nodded and carefully observed the surroundings. He entered the alley with Chu Xiang. However, there was nothing inside, not even a shadow. Just as they were about to leave, they suddenly saw someone come out of a door. The person was obviously stunned when he saw Huo Wenkai before hurriedly leaving. Huo Wenkai frowned. He looks familiar. He and Chu Xiang looked at each other. They didn't need to think too much to know that something was wrong. Especially after the arson incident, someone who was in contact with them secretly came to the county to meet someone who knew Huo Wenkai. How could there be so many coincidences? The person who knew Huo Wenkai here was most likely from the capital. The two of them followed the man from a distance, until they reached the government office. Then they went to the nearby area and quietly chatted with each other to find out the name Rao. As soon as they returned, Huo Jinyan guessed from the surname that he must be a relative of the Hua family's housekeeper. When the Hua family was in trouble, it was the Hua family's housekeeper who betrayed them. He opened the door and let people into the Hua family's house to rob and confiscate the Hua family's property. At the time, those people took things and hid them in their own homes. They didn't report each other, but the housekeeper definitely hid the most. He came prepared and transferred the property in advance. At that time, the housekeeper probably thought that the Hua family was doomed and was very ruthless. Old Master Hua's death was definitely related to him. However, they weren't idiots. In that emergency situation, they still hid some things. They asked someone to remove Hua Wenkai from the family and let the three of them stay in the same place to reform through labor. Now the situation had changed. Judging from the housekeeper's relatives coming in and out of the government office, it was very likely that someone in the housekeeper's family was an official or was working for an official. Then this arson case was very clear. It was most likely done by the housekeeper. Now someone had been rehabilitated. Not only did he restore his official position, but he also returned some of the property. Then the landlord, who didn't maliciously exploit the people or do evil things, would also be released and some of his property returned. Back then, the housekeeper had a big feud with them. Most importantly, they took a lot of the Hua family's property. If they went back, the housekeeper's good days would come to an end. Of course, they had to keep them out forever while the situation was still unclear. And when Hua Wenkai reunited with the Hua family, it would be the best time to wipe them out. Then many of the Hua family's things would belong to the housekeeper forever. As for the person who was bribed to set the fire, he had hidden many things that Hua Wenkai sent to the Hua family many times in the past. He still couldn't come out now, and he was afraid that he would be punished in the future. He was afraid that the Hua family would report him, so he decided to go all out and kill the Hua family. This way, he could get a sum of money to keep his mouth shut and prevent future trouble. If he did it well, he might even get a good job. He made up his mind and did it. Unfortunately, the arson failed. Several teams of men were arranged to patrol the farm, so it was impossible to do it again. Since the Hua family already knew who it was, of course, they wouldn't let it go so easily. Grandpa Hua asked Hua Wenkai to send a few telegrams to the county. The people who received the telegrams were all officials in the capital. They were said to be Grandpa Hua's classmates and close friends. Two of them had just returned to the capital not long ago. The farm usually controlled the Hua family, but Chu Xiang and Hua Wenkai didn't belong to the farm, so they couldn't control them. The two of them didn't bring anything with them, so naturally, they had to send the telegrams to the school. Just like that, the telegrams were sent out very smoothly. During difficult times, many people who were defeated didn't necessarily survive. But if they survived, as long as they still had connections and abilities, their future was bright and unstoppable. After Grandpa Hua sent out the telegram, the people in the capital called as soon as they received it. They told the county magistrate to take care of the Hua family and investigate the arson case. An arson case in a place like this was actually pointed out by an official in the capital. It was a classic case. The county magistrate immediately took it seriously and sent public security officers to the farm to investigate. Now that the matter was blown out of proportion, the people in the capital could use this opportunity to ask for more people to be rehabilitated. A community of interests was always the most stable relationship. This was also the reason why Grandpa Hua had the confidence to send the telegram. It might not have been useful if he sent it earlier, but at this time the higher-ups could use this matter to fish out some people. At the same time, they could also fish them out. They were about to make a comeback. Chapter 316. Yao Shui was waiting for the news of Chu Xiang's death. She watched Lu Fang pack her luggage happily, and watched the villagers treat Chu Dongxing kindly. Her heart was full of sarcasm. How happy they were now would be how sad they would be later. Didn't they always say that Chu Xiang was lucky? This time Chu Xiang was burned to death. Let's see if they would still be embarrassed to say such things. Back then, they forced her to get a divorce. Now, she was going to the capital to seize the opportunity to make a lot of money. Their family was going to be ruined soon. Yao Shui was very happy when she thought about this. She deliberately swayed in front of Lu Fang and Chu Dongsheng and looked at them with sympathy and superiority. The two of them were confused and thought that she was crazy. Lu Fang had a few good friends. Even if Yao Shui had hooked up with Li Hongjun and was going to the capital soon, there was no need to show off like this. The 2 children and a son-in-law of the Chu family were all admitted to a top university. How could Yao Shui show off more than them? What was there to show off about? The others were also puzzled. They could only understand that Yao Shui was arrogant because she was about to become a citizen of the capital. She didn't know what to do. The villagers had infinite longing for the capital. They envied and felt inferior to the people of the capital. However, the people of the capital had to be of a higher class. In the eyes of the villagers, people like Yao Shui, who loved the rich and despised the poor, was greedy for vanity, and had forgotten her ancestors. Those who originally treated her better also took back their kindness. This made her the most hated person in the 2 brigades. Yao Shui didn't care about this. She was only waiting for the bad news from the farm. However, she waited and waited. When they were about to set off, Chu Xiang was alive and kicking. Huo Wenkai even brought the Huo family back. When she saw them at the entrance of the village, her eyes almost popped out. Her face was full of disbelief. She almost blurted out, "Why are you all fine?" Fortunately, she stopped at the critical moment and didn't ask this question. The Huo family was burned to death in her previous life. If she asked this question now, she wouldn't be called crazy. However, although she didn't ask, the shock in her eyes couldn't be hidden. Chu Xiang could tell that something was wrong at a glance. She thought about Yao Shui's strange attitude and immediately understood everything. Yao Shui clearly knew about the fire, and was waiting to watch a good show when she saw her heading to the farm. She really had nothing to do. It seemed like he should find something for her to do. These days, anonymous letters were especially useful. Chu Xiang immediately wrote an anonymous letter and sent it to the Li family. She reached the Li family before Li Hongjun and Yao Shui. Hence, even before the Li family met Yao Shui, they were already aware of Yao Shui's glorious past in the brigade. Chu Xiang didn't even need to add fuel to the fire. Just the fact that Yao Shui murdered her sister-in-law, spread rumors about her in-laws, betrayed her husband, cheated the examinees of their money, and got pregnant before marriage was enough to make the Li family hate her. Every single one of these things was an intolerable misdeed. This was an era where good youths were valued and moral character was valued. No one would be able to accept someone like Yao Shui no matter where she was. Chu Xiang could see through the heaven and earth mirror that Yao Shui had been treated coldly the moment she arrived at the Li family. Yao Shui wasn't someone easy to deal with, and she even harbored ill intentions towards the Li family. Both parties started quarreling within a day of meeting, and the whole family was in a mess. Chu Xiang naturally didn't leave out Li Hongjun. She even sent an anonymous letter to Li Hongjuan's new unit. Li Hongjuan's behavior was a serious problem. The job that the Li family had spent a lot of effort to get him was immediately gone. No one else could replace him, and Father Li was even criticized by others. This made the Li family, and even Li Hongjun, hate Yao Shui. Yao Shui's fighting spirit was high and she always caused trouble in the Li family. She even relied on her stomach to argue with them. However, this wasn't a more tolerant society. Yao Shui's actions were seen by the neighbors as unfilial and unvirtuous. Of course, Li Hongjun was also a bad person. It was extremely difficult for the couple to find a job. Their house was also small, and they could only squeeze in a corner with a curtain. Their life back in the capital was worse than living in the village. Chu Xiang didn't bother about them when she saw that they weren't living well. She had already entered university, and was part of the first batch of university students after the college entrance examinations were reinstated. She majored in agriculture, and she planned to learn more about it in this life. It just so happened that it wasn't convenient to do anything in this era. If she wanted a more free society, she would have to wait for many years. It wasn't very comfortable. She might as well take this opportunity to learn more. She always had a strong thirst for knowledge that she didn't understand. No matter where she transmigrated to or how long she lived, the skills she learned were the foundation of her standing in the world. It was more useful than any cheat. Chu Xiang had previously appeared in the newspaper because of her improved farming methods. Her teachers and classmates all knew her. She received a lot of attention the moment she entered university. At first, there were many people who didn't like her. However, she used her strong learning ability to prove herself. Most of the students became enthusiastic, and admired her from the bottom of their hearts. The good thing about the school at this time was that the learning atmosphere was good. The students were like sponges, crazily absorbing water. The phrase thirsty for knowledge was the best interpretation. Wherever Chu Xiang went, she could see people studying. Even if there were some social and artistic activities occasionally, everyone was very restrained. They wouldn't be addicted to it and wouldn't waste time. Soon they all focused on their studies. Chu Xiang had gone to school several times, but this was the first time she experienced such an atmosphere. It also gave her a rare feeling of youth, thirst for knowledge, and a pure sense of campus. She also immersed herself in her studies and seriously studied agriculture with the school's professors. The professors who came back to work this year were all real talents. Chu Xiang was lucky to learn from the most outstanding professor. Later, because of her excellent performance, she was introduced to Mr. Yuan's team as an assistant. She got the best learning environment and research opportunities. She was able to improve the farm yield in the village before, relying on the experience of thousands of years of nurturing spiritual plants. However, there was always someone better than her. There were always people who were talented in a certain aspect that others couldn't surpass. Mr. Yuan was such a person. Chu Xiang followed his research team, listened to his ideas and suggestions, and followed in his footsteps to study. She benefited a lot and learned a lot of things that couldn't be learned anywhere else. Her learning ability and thinking ability soon became obvious, and she was noticed by Mr. Yuan. A year later, he arranged for her to be his assistant by his side. Chu Xiang became very busy. She couldn't see her family for 10 to 15 months. It was also difficult for her to see Huo Wenkai. Grandma Hua and Lu Fang were very worried. They thought that they couldn't break up if they didn't see each other. In the end, the two of them had a good relationship. No matter how many members of the opposite sex expressed goodwill to them, they never wavered. When they saw each other, Chu Xiang and Huo Wenkai would have a sweet date. They would watch a black and white movie together, go to the suburbs together, go shopping together, and buy things for each other. But when they didn't see each other, they would focus on learning. They both had things that they wanted to learn. This didn't affect their relationship at all. Gradually, the two families got used to the way they got along. After all, they were very stable. Their families naturally didn't have to worry about either side. After the Hua family returned to Beijing, they moved around a lot. A year later, they were returned a courtyard house with a lot of furniture and decorations. The other things that were confiscated were left behind. They had nowhere to go. However, the Hua family's housekeeper had transferred a lot of the Hua family's property. The Hua family found evidence and witnesses. The housekeeper and the people involved were all sentenced, and all the remaining property was returned. The Hua family's property was a lot. Coupled with the valuable things that the Hua family had stolen, the Hua family's life became better. Although the Hua family's total property was less than half of what it used to be, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Half of the Hua family's property was already a lot. It was enough for them to live in glory in this era. They even had to hide part of it. They couldn't let outsiders know that they were rich. Grandpa Hua became an archaeology professor, and Mr. Hua became a mathematics professor. Grandma Hua liked to write articles, and her ideas were very advanced. Several of her articles were published. Her days were comfortable, and with the pills given by Chu Xiang, her body that had suffered before slowly recovered. Lu Fang and Grandma Hua were close. They often visited each other, and she knew some people. She was generous and cheerful. She even joined the Women's Federation. Every day was prosperous. It was not boring at all. It was lively. She often met Chu Dongsheng. Fortunately, she came to Beijing with them. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known that Beijing was such a place where people could make a living. Chu Dongsheng couldn't agree more. He was now extremely grateful to Chu Xiang for forcing him to memorize and answer questions. She had allowed him to get into a good university and come to Beijing. Not only had he learned professional knowledge, but he had also seen a wider world and broadened his horizons. He didn't like to study. What he loved most was doing business. Beijing was the political center. Any order from the leaders could be carried out immediately. In the village, if a woman wore a scarf or a pretty dress, she would be criticized. However, in Beijing, No one would say anything if a woman permed her hair, wore high heels and put on lipstick. It was the same for doing business. Many people in the village still thought that it was speculation. However, in Beijing many people were already trying to buy and sell things. Chu Dongxing smelled the scent of endless business opportunities. When he was in university, he began to network and understand the situation of various industries. He understood the current situation of Beijing and other cities. He started to do business from the dark to the light. In 1980, when the country first introduced the concept of self-employed, he immediately applied and became the first self-employed in the country. Because the country wanted to encourage economic development, they specially reported the first self-employed person in the country, including Chu Dongxing's exciting history and his current net worth. When Yao Shui saw it in the newspaper, she was dumbfounded. Chu Dongxing didn't sell mountain goods in the village. He didn't miss a good opportunity. Instead, he seized a better opportunity. The idea that it was useless to go to university and work for a boss who didn't have a diploma was all wrong. Now that Chu Dongxing's starting point had improved, his chances of success were also infinitely higher. When she saw the news, she knew that Chu Dongxing would definitely be more successful in this life than in his previous life. She lost her child and was kicked out of the Li family. She stayed in the clothing store that she had painstakingly set up and cried bitterly. Why did she miss out on such a good road to riches? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.